Now, we've already talked about Mother's Day next Sunday, and to pay tribute to women in football, the SANFL has made next Saturday ladies' round. So we've got a few players to honour the ladies in their lives.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Scott, and we're from the West Adelaide Football Club.
We're here today to tribute Mum for Ladies' Day. She's always cooked us beautiful meals and taken us to trainings and games since we were younger.
She's been at every one of our games, and she's always the loudest yelling and cheering whenever we touch the ball or kick a goal.
We love you, Mum.
Hey, I'm Adam Koshel from the South Adelaide Football Club, and on Ladies' Day I'd like to pay tribute to my grandma. Here she is with my grandpa. My grandma has been amazing for me. Every time I've had an accident, whether it's overseas or in Australia, she's always paid for me medical bills. She's at every game and hasn't missed a game since I know. I love you, Grandma.
Hi, I'm Luke Jarrett from Woodville West Orange Football Club. I'm here today to pay tribute to my fiancée Bridget for Ladies' Day. I just want to thank her for packing up everything, moving over from Melbourne and looking after me and supporting me. Love you, Bridge.
Hi, I'm Justin McConnell from the Glenelg Football Club. On Ladies' Day, I'd like to thank my mum and my sister and my girlfriend Amy. 3 great ladies in my life. Love you guys.
Hi, I'm Brody Martin from the Sturt Football Club, and for Ladies' Day I'm here to pay tribute to my mum. I wouldn't know how much money it's cost her for me to drive from Meningie each week, but without your mum I wouldn't have made it to where I am today, so thank you and I love you.
Glenelg has somehow manufactured 4 wins this season. It hasn't been impressive. Last week the Panthers contracted stage fright and that handed the game to the Tigers. On the positive side, at least Glenelg won. The Roosters blew their chances of beating the Eagles when they conceded 9 goals in the 3rd quarter. Yuck. Time to get moving, fellas, and there's no better time. It's Ladies' Day, so ladies, take your seats and enjoy a feast of football as Glenelg plays North Adelaide. Big afternoon for football at the Bay this afternoon. Of course, it is Ladies' Day, a big weekend with Mother's Day tomorrow.
Oh, happy Mother's Day, Mum, for tomorrow. See ya.
G'day, Mum. Happy Mother's Day. Love you heaps. Your present's on the way, might be a bit late. And if I forget to ring, this should make up for it. Love you.
Happy Mother's Day, Mum. Thanks for everything. Love you heaps. Cheers.
Hey, Mum. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you after the footy.
Love you, Mum. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks for everything you've done for us. You're a champion.
G'day, Mum. Happy Mother's Day. Really appreciate everything you've done for me. Love you lots. See you soon.
Happy Mother's Day, Mum. Thanks for everything. You're a champ. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Hi, Mum. Happy Mother's Day. I just want to tell you that I love you and I think you're the most beautiful mum in the world. So I just want to give you a kiss.
Happy Mother's Day, Mum! Some great look there at the talents of our SANFL footballers.
Looked completely natural in front of the camera, didn't they?
No doubt about that. Look, last weekend we saw some great football. Central's just getting over Nord on the Saturday. Most of the round actually happened on the Sunday, though. A quick look back at Sturt and Port Adelaide down at what once was a very feared place to go at Alberton, but not so now.
Certainly isn't, and a lot of people are asking what is happening down at Port Adelaide. I think they've got some real issues. Timmy Geneva certainly would be being a nervous boy at the moment. There's no doubt about that. They were far from impressive. Sturt, I still think they're a top 3 team, particularly when they've got a guy like Chambers up front. He kicked 4 goals for them. Interestingly, Ivan Marriott kicked 4 goals and is with Port Adelaide in the SANFL again this week. Obviously, Nickel-John spent most of the day in the ruck.
In this match, the scores were level at half-time. Sturt kicked 12 goals to 5 in the second half, indicative just of what, the Magpies dropping away awfully.
Yeah, there's no doubt their second halves right the way through the first 4 or 5 games have been very poor. Gum was good for Sturt, and Matthew Gents was fantastic. He kicked a number of goals and certainly an emerging player for Sturt.
So there's that scoreline, 17-8, 110 for Sturt and 10-8, 68 for Port Adelaide. And we mentioned their Chambers with 4 goals. And the Magpies haven't seen a wooden spoon since 1900. On to North Adelaide against the Eagles last weekend. And really, in the end, it all came down to a 6-goal third quarter from Ken McGregor.
Oh, Kenny McGregor, they pushed him forward. He's played a bit back this year, but they pushed him forward, and to kick 6 goals in any quarter of footy, you certainly are running hot. You can see their AFL player, Robbie Shirley, just a nice little balk and kicking a goal. He was impressive, and I think that all credit really does need to go to Ronnie Fuller. He's done a fantastic job. I think the Eagles, to see Kenny McGregor there taking one of his many marks, the Eagles were touted to be in the rebuilding stage, but we certainly haven't seen that this year, and they're a disciplined unit, and Ronnie Fuller has done a fantastic job. Obviously their junior academy is starting to look very good. A number of those players are coming through to the senior ranks.
They were down at half-time, kicked 9 goals to 1 in the third quarter. Should mention a cameo by Damon White for North Adelaide in the last quarter. He kicked 4 goals, almost got his side across the line, but it didn't happen. So there's that result. 15-11 plays, 14-9, and an 8-point victory for the Eagles. And, of course, the other match last weekend featured Glenelg going down to Noarlunga to play the Panthers, and that man on screen, Josh Carr, making a reappearance in a Tigers Guernsey.
Well, he hasn't played for a number of years at Glenelg, about 9 years or something like that. It's his first game in 9 years. You can see Chris Hall there feeding the ball to him, and he's far from finished as a Glenelg player anyway. He had 35 possessions, 14 kicks and 21 handballs. You must say he didn't have much opposition. The Panthers really are struggling and look very lacklustre. Lack of game plan certainly evident from what we saw last week, but Josh Carr was fantastic.
Yeah, and Josh Carr, of course, picking up a hip injury, so he's not playing this week. Very interesting to know where his AFL future lies. And Pete McDonald, one of our reporters from the newsroom, caught up with Darren Trevina from Port Adelaide just to ask, what's the future for Josh Carr?
Yeah, look, I think it's important when players go back, they have the right attitude. I was speaking to Mark Meckin about it, and he was fine. His attitude was great. He wanted to go back, get some touches, which he did. He's a hardball player, so he earns the respect of the player straight away. In the first contest, he showed that straight away with a hardball get straight away, so it made a pretty impression straight away, a good impression straight away.
And a demotion for a veteran like Josh could be taken one of 2 ways, I guess. How did he find the experience going back to Glenelg?
Yeah, look, I think it was ironic that I think his last game was down at South Adelaide in 2000, I think it was, so he's gone back and played there again this year. So it was ironic that, but he went back with a great attitude. He wanted to impress, and he's no good going back there with the wrong attitude. Otherwise, you're not going to entice the players to use you, and you're not going to get your own ball. So he went back with the right attitude. He got his own ball, played some great footy, and of course he's put his name back up there again. Unfortunately for him, he's a little bit tight for that hip there, so we want to get that right again before make sure he's 100%. So hopefully in next week he plays again and he picks up some good form again.
So, as I say, it's all ahead for Josh Carr. We'll just see how that turns out over time. Now we have a look through the premiership table, and Glenelg, well, 4-2, but perhaps their form is not quite up to 4-2 standard, and North Adelaide sitting as they try and build this season under Daniel Healy, their new coach, in 5th spot.
Yeah, I think the premiership table is starting to take a very familiar look with Central's Eagles up the top. Glenelg being a bit disappointing, but they're still sitting 3rd. Sturt have been around the mark. North around the mark. North have been disappointing. West are emerging. Well, South Adelaide certainly look like they're struggling, and Port Adelaide have had an extremely disappointing start to the year, to say the least.
And here's the action this afternoon in round 7. Centrals with 15 wins in a row over West Adelaide. Gee, you'd think that might go the same way this afternoon. Panthers against Port could be an early preview of who might get the wooden spoon, the loser of that match. And then the Eagles taking on Sturt. That'll be another fascinating contest at the Woodville Oval. And of course the Redlegs with the bye, just trying to get over the disappointment of a narrow loss last weekend. Speaking of narrow losses, what we're about to show you wasn't a narrow loss.
Unbelievable.
Big match in the Hills Country Division last Saturday afternoon. Big day out for Roger James, the former Norwood and Port Adelaide AFL player. 23 goals, and if you look at that, 80-22, 502 to 117. they're kicking a goal basically every, 30 seconds to a minute.
Sort of looks like a cricket score, doesn't it? Not a footy score. Unbelievable, and it certainly shows you that Kellington struggling a little bit at the moment.
So I reckon they might be. I don't know what the numbers were, but I'll tell you what, Kersbrook going okay. Down to Sodas on the boundary as usual, and what's the message from the Tigers camp this week, Sodas?
Well, Glenelg, leading goal kicker Matty Doldig has been squeezed out of the sign. The official word is the old favourite, a bit of team balance there. Daniel Kerr comes in probably as a bit of insurance somewhat for the fact that North Adelaide has a big forward line and a very, very handy forward line, no doubt about that. Last week, well, the Bays had to rely on a very strong fourth quarter to get them home.
I think our ball use last week in particular let us down, but I thought our endeavour, the indicators of our endeavour suggested that we really were switched on with our pressure skills and our ability to get at the ball. But certainly we need to improve our ball handling and our execution.
Your record against North is good. Is that factored into your build-up before the game?
No, we haven't mentioned it at all. I think North are an improved side. They've brought some good people into their club, and every game on its merits. Maybe the players get something out of it for themselves, but it's not something that I've mentioned at all.
Mother's Day too this weekend?
Yeah, I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to Mum for tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow, Mum.
If we have a look at the Glenelg lineup, obviously a big out there being Doldig. He's kicked 12 goals, played in the reserves last week. Last year they had Toddy Grimer who's kicking a lot of the goals. You can see they've named him at full forward. He's only kicked 7 this year. Hinge is the other player where they'll be looking for goals to come from. He's kicked 6. As you can see there, Kane, he's one of the better players in the team. Ben Kane on the wing, and his brother is starting on the interchange bench. Very good players, the Kane boys.
And so does the Roosters. Well, gee, maybe last week was the one that got away.
Yeah, it does seem like that, but they've been given a terrific boost this week. Big, high-flying, unpredictable, but very dynamic Nick Gill comes back into the side. That forward line, when he partners Clint Alloway, also Daniel Stewart up there, they are probably the best and most potent forward line in the competition in terms of tools. That luxury allows Damon White to slot back to centre-half back. Daniel Healy's going to use White this year, somewhat like Central have used Daniel Shell over the past few years. Back and forward a little bit from probably half forward to half back, but we saw last week he kicked 4 and almost got them home against the Eagles. So he's also, Damon White there, the captain, he's going to just man and marshal the defence, which is a pretty young defence for North Adelaide, but they do look pretty good at both ends of the ground. And Daniel Healy does have his hands full. He's just moulding these Roosters into the sort of outfit that he likes.
Trying to implement some new game styles and some new approaches to the footy with a fairly fresh list. We've lost 20 or so off the list, so it's like a regeneration of a club and a list, and look, it's been an exciting challenge, and we think we're going well so far.
Life as a coach, is it stressful?
It has its moments, but it's what you're in for, isn't it? To get at the coalface and see how things go, and I'm loving it, but yeah, there's certainly some sleepless nights to go with it.
If we have a look at the North lineup, you can see a guy there playing at full back by the name of McIntyre. He's instrumental to them, gives them a lot of run. He's a very close checking full back. They've got White at centre half back, and they've got plenty of tall timber up in their forward line as well. Obviously, Gill and Alloway are the two guys that most people would know. Their midfield will play an instrumental role in pushing the ball forward, giving Gill and Alloway first use of the ball, and obviously kick a winning score.
So the headline you drive through that is they're a pretty well-balanced side.
They certainly are. I like the way that North are looking at the moment. It might take a little bit of time, obviously, for a new coach to come in and implement his game plan.
Let's look at the history between these two clubs. I don't know how much we draw sometimes out of these figures, but I can say this, that the first game they ever played here at Glenelg involved Glenelg and North Adelaide. The first time that North Adelaide played at Prospect, they played Glenelg, and the last grand final at the Adelaide Oval involved these two sides as well. And that's quite a history over time. More importantly, Glenelg's won the last 5 games by an average of 39 points between these two teams.
Well, you can make what you want to make of stats, but all you really need to know is these two teams have had some great battles over the years. I remember as a young fella going and watching the grand finals in 84 and 85, I think it was, where Glenelg won both of them. But
85, 86.
85, 86, sorry. Yeah, I was a young fella, I did say that. But they've certainly had some good tussles over the years.
We see there Damon White winning the toss for the Roosters. So does the weather this afternoon. Looks pretty pleasant.
Yes, it's not too bad. A little bit fresh down here. Very dark and overcast. So we're just praying here, the fingers crossed, that the rain does hold off. Bit of breeze just drifting to the left of screen. Not too strong or too severe. Probably a goal or so, but that may pick up as the game goes on. Let's get this game right underway. Michael Maney, take the reins.
Thanks, Mark Soderstrom. And very much looking forward to this. Daniel Healy, the newspaper this week, said, I don't want to get into a shootout with Glenelg. So that's a bit of Central's talk there, one would imagine.
Didn't we hear that last week? And we had a great shootout last week.
We did. It'll be interesting to see whether they do.
The unfortunate thing about that is people want to come to the football and watch big scores being kicked. But as a coach, you don't really care as long as your side scores more than the opposition.
That's right. A few ducks and drakes. David Clark picking up Brett Backwell off the ball. Number 3, Matty Wright. And Rory O'Brien in number 3 last year. He's not with the club, along with another 19 players. About to get underway. Round 7. And Ruckman to do battle. Kane Ackland went a bit early and Cranston got it down. James Allen got the first kick away. Here's Alloway, burst through, off the ground, Allen. A couple of kicks to him now. And the umpire calls for a ball up. No breeze, as Mark Soderstrom mentioned. There's Luke Panozzo extricating himself from the pack. Cranston down, Panozzo. And another ball up. Just sorting themselves out. Robbie?
Yeah, obviously in the first few minutes, I think there'll be a pretty tight tussle, particularly in light of what Healy has said. He doesn't want scores just flowing willy-nilly. He wants it to be a tight game.
Fisher over the top. Away they go through Ruwalt. Ruwalt to the lead of Kirkby out in front. Good grab, not paid. Thought he might have just held on to it long enough. Chris Hall was there. Well done by Stribling. Got the loose kick away. Cranston straight through his fingers. You don't see that very often. Kirk got it back to Panozzo. Back through Meyer. Meyer's got to get the kick away. He was under pressure, but it's good enough. And it's found Ben Kane at half forward.
Kane has Murphy in the pockets. He's still going to have to kick it 50 plus for the goal. He looks to the corridor and plenty of flooding being done by the Roosters. So we get a good angle on this kick from Byron Murphy.
Certainly not beyond Byron Murphy. He's a highly skilled player and goals from this angle are not that difficult at the Bay.
Murphy with just 1 minus score to his record this year. Make that 1 goal 1. And Robbie Pyman, you're in form as well.
Where have you been? I mean, Nostradamus.
Oh, he's a highly talented player, it's Byron Murphy, and I remember playing at the Bay on several occasions, and the first time I ever played at this oval, I did have a shot from there and didn't realise that the pockets were not that acute. So after that, I didn't like too many of my teammates calling for the ball when I was having shots from those sort of positions. I think they are pretty easy to score from those pockets at the Bay.
His first goal of the year, Byron Murphy. We've seen him play in a lot of different places on the ground, but up forward, looks like he can kick a goal or two if pushed up there. And there he is, Byron Murphy.
It's interesting you should say that, Michael, because he can play across the wing. We see that a lot, but he's played down back and forward for Glenelg over the last couple of years.
Stribling. Kick out toward half forward. Kirk and Gill. That's not a bad chase. Gill kept his feet. Kirk went to ground, but his second effort was terrific. Gill's got him around the neck, I think, in a front-on tackle, but the umpire, well, those very lovely red socks. What do you think of those, Rob? The red socks of the umpires.
Oh, I just think they're fantastic. Well, they just look like another North player.
Yeah, so much for clash Guernseys. Up they go. I don't think we ever clashed Guernsey much in SANFL footy, apart from the Eagles. Taken by Cranston. Away to Fisher. Fisher, Hall going back with a flight. Can't quite get a fingernail on it. And let's go to Mark Soderstrom.
Yeah, Toddy Pfeiffer sitting there all on his own on the bench. The other 2 boys, Tony Armstrong and also Zach Miller, just getting plenty of work done there. And those red socks that you've pointed out, boys, in support of the Heart Foundation, which is bringing awareness to heart troubles and women with football this week.
More of ladies round in the SANFL. Free kick to right for North Adelaide. Just saw a little bit high. Now, nothing much available down the line. Daniel Healy will want him to try and retain possession from this situation. Nothing doing, so he's had to go down the line, out of the way in the middle of the pack, spread-eagled it. Uni looked like he threw it. Umpire said, well, it's certainly maybe not a throw, just an incorrect disposal. Either way, Ben Kane has the free kick. Short option was on. He goes to his skipper and Mules, who takes his time, goes inboard again to Ruwalt. Only just got there under pressure. Now they'll move it back to Kane and then on to Murphy this side of the ground. For the play, Hinge was the lead. Still leading across the arc of 50. Options along, so he goes long. Ackland at the front. They all come across him. Cello at the snap of the left foot. It's not going to make the distance, nor was it accurate enough, and eventually it's out of bounds. The Braves have a 6-point lead.
It's not a bad option just to push the ball forward to the centre of the pack. You can see there Clinton Alloway, that was a fantastic leap, and geez, the Glenelg player didn't catch who it was, but he would certainly have a sore back at the moment.
Working it nicely to Allen from Stribling. Allen's kick, looking for Stewart. Can't take the mark. Ball close to the line. Let's go to the Glenelg bench down there, Mark.
Tommy Holmes starting down there alongside him, Richard O'Grady and also Chris Kane.
Boundary throw in. Just the one goal in the game so far. Byron Murphy with a lovely kick. Ty Allen, reverse torpedo. You don't see many of them. Damon White can't take it. Taken to the line, is he? He wanted the line and got there. Chris Hall with a lovely tackle, but a bit of experience there from Damon White. Nowhere to go. Robin went for the line.
Certainly is an experienced player. Captain of the club. When in doubt, take the ball out. Chris Hall, back from his 3-year stint in the Waffle.
Interesting to see how he goes this afternoon. And another ball up.
With Chris Hall, the interesting thing about him is they can play him across the forward line, just give him the odd run in the middle. He's a very, very dangerous player. He's got a beautiful left foot kick, so it'll be interesting to see how he does play today.
James Allen got boot on ball, and Pinozzo this time taken to the line. Nick Gill, the man with the tackle. The flying emu.
I think one thing as a coach, you just don't want to cough the ball up. You tell your players, don't cough the ball up. So we've seen on 2 occasions there, Glenelg players, Glenelg and North players, both just take the ball out of bounds.
Thompson, they held on to him, and he's so quick. There's a good reason to hold on to him. This time he goes out the back to Motlop. He had a couple in the corridor, opted in the end. He was shepherded well, or herded well, onto this side of the ground by Meyer, and eventually it's out at left half forward for the Roosters. Paul Stewart, impressive height and talent, the ex-Labrador player from the Gold Coast, and he's now on the Port Adelaide rookie list. Alloway over the top, looking for Stribling and/or Wright. Eventually it bobbles to Murphy, and now Mules, who can't shake off Wright, and the ball out of bounds again, and it's tough and it's tight. Cranston and Ackland at it again. Cranston fires up pretty well.
And that's the strength of Trevor Cranston. He's not the tallest ruckman you'll ever see, but his second and third efforts at ground level are just fantastic, and that's his strength to the Glenelg team.
Allen just pushed off the kick a bit, and he was very careful because he didn't want to put it out on the full, and in the end he's rewarded it somewhat because Uni was pushed in the back, and he goes long and direct, and that's a good mark. And that's Stewart, who we just spoke about, and he's a left footer, so difficult angle for him.
It's beautiful body work, just caught his opposition player out, read the ball better and snuck in behind him to take the mark. Certainly is a tall unit.
Daniel Stewart, 6 goals, 4 for the season. And he's just added another one to that, a major that is. And we're all tied away, 1 goal apiece at the Bay.
We have a look at the replay here. Uni kicks the ball in long. Stewart one out with his direct opponent. Just read it better, just pushed on him. His direct opponent got caught underneath the ball. Michael Liebell and Daniel Stewart on that left foot. No doubt he's a talented player, and you'll see a lot more of him this year. He's been a good recruit so far, even though it's only early in the season.
He has such long arms, doesn't he? Ball hacked out of there, Miller. Kick smothered, Meyer. It's been outstanding for them this year. Murphy back to Ruwalt. Ruwalt's got one in short, dunked away by Clark. The target was Backwell and/or Seller. Seller and White, that'll be an interesting matchup as well. This afternoon, there's David Clark.
David Clark and Backwell will be another interesting matchup, Michael, because they do like to play their own games. David Clark certainly likes to run off his opponent, and Backwell, well, we know how he plays. He won't pay too much respect to Clark.
Just got to be a bit... I reckon when you play Backwell, you just got to be so accountable because he just makes space so well.
He does. He goes in different directions, and you do have to be on top of your game and completely disciplined.
Speaking of discipline, Allen to Murphy, who's been in good touch. Panozzo, the pirouette was outstanding. The handball good to Fisher. Back to Ruwalt. He's got Allen in the pocket. That's a horrible kick. Miller, McIntyre, slung off the kick. Sloan went to ground. Allen with the handball down the line. He'll walk the line. Will he get it? Panozzo, yes, it must have just been out. And it'll be a boundary throw-in. A lot of ball hugging the line here at the moment.
Well, was it out? Certainly looked out from this angle, and the umpire's in a better position.
Just carried it over, I reckon. Ackland, Murphy can't get away. The Ryswick tackle was good, and a ball up.
Daniel Healy, as coach of North Adelaide, certainly made his intentions clear early in the week, saying he didn't want a shootout, and it's a real arm wrestle from both teams' perspective. Obviously, it's reflecting on the scoreboard at the moment. Very little scoring.
Clark, gee, that was a good hand pass out of the pack. Found Wright, who found Motlop, who went to half forward long for Uni. First to recover, did it pretty well. The veteran gets it into Ryswick, should kick a goal, and North Adelaide in front. Great transition.
Well, that's how you should score. Move the ball quickly. It really was a one-on-one situation. The ball got punched in long from the centre of the ground. You can see Uni and Mules here go one-on-one. Uni, just a clever play. Certainly isn't quick of foot, but his reaction time is quick. He was the first to react, get up, and he found his teammate there in Ryswick, who 30 metres out, straight in front, no pressure. Wouldn't have any hesitation in backing him every day of the week from there.
Goal number 8 on the season for Lee Ryswick. Just notice him lay a heavy tackle too, and that's a part of his game that Daniel Healy's been working on. Out of the centre, Hinge got it to Ben Kane from outside 50, gives it everything. Fisher's got to go back. Grimer leapt a bit early, and the ball went through for a behind.
Certainly moved the ball quickly out of the centre. He would have liked Fisher to put a bit more pressure on his direct opponent there whilst the ball was in air. Didn't really make body contact.
And likewise, they've moved the ball pretty efficiently, North Adelaide. Miller's kick was a stray, though. They've got it at half forward. Alloway fortuitous. He goes long, he goes direct, and falling back, that man, Uni, has a mark in the pocket. He is an elusive player, and he's found some space. We were talking about backwall before at the other end of the ground for the Bays. This man, Heath Uni, knows how to find a bit of space. And another goal for North Adelaide. Heath Uni does the job.
Well, Heath Uni is a talented player. We spoke about him on several occasions. Finding space is one of his traits. You can see the ball got moved quickly. It wasn't really a fashionable kick, but Alloway was good enough to recover. Uni, as Crossy said, he can find space anywhere, that bloke. He is a talented player. 155 games, that's his 242nd goal. So as you can see, when he plays across the forward line, he certainly knows where the big sticks are.
Just his second goal of the year, Rob, and he's been off target, 2-5 coming into the game. Backwell. Got it back to Panozzo. So they're just bombing long at the moment, Glenelg, hoping for a Kirkby mark. He flew high, couldn't grab it. Well done, Clark. Jars free, goes to Fisher. Away it goes to Hall. He could almost kick it from here. He decides on a short kick, looking for Chris Kane. Cunningham was good. Seller committed himself. It flicks out the back to Allen. Allen uses Ryswick and then has to use Motlop. Smart hands. Motlop goes to the wing. Thumped away from Ackland by Cranston. And a boundary throw-in. Good desperate play by number 9, who really does a lot of that for Glenelg.
It's very clever, Trevor Cranston, at pushing back. You can see there he's on his direct opponent, Caden Ackland, but he will push back so that Glenelg have an extra number in defence whenever the opposition go forward.
Hall again. Backwell held a little bit too long by Clark. And that is really a feature even early into this game, the Backwell-Clark matchup. And Brett Backwell is back with the wing. Ackland should take this in the pack. Flicks over. Damon White, the skipper, signed up for 4 years. Amazing contract. Oh, well taken by Holmes. Stole it off Sloan. Look for Seller. What can Seller do? He's a talented player. Check side is offline.
You can see Ben Kane was screaming for the ball. The handball was on. I'm not 100% sure if Seller saw it. You can see here just a very nice take there by Holmes. You can see just in the centre square, or the goal square there, sorry, Ben Kane was screaming for the ball, but unfortunately Seller didn't see him. Tried to do the old check side and couldn't screw it back enough.
Marlon Motlop with the kick in to himself and then played on. He was in that pack before, that monster pack at centre-half forward for Glenelg, and he came up holding his left shoulder for a little while, but he looks okay now. They're just taking their time. North Adelaide, a considered build-up now towards centre wing. Big pack off hands. Mules saw a high tackle coming, ducked under it to Holmes. Now into half forward. Hinge looked like he was held. Did all right to Fisher, and then to Kirkby, and there's a goal for the Bows.
Certainly much better teamwork, Glenelg, as they push the ball forward there. They moved the ball quickly, so it wasn't a pack. 3 or 4 times previous to that, you've seen him kick to a pack situation here, a one-on-one. Very well recovered. Fisher there at the crumbs, dishes off to Kirkby. Also had another Glenelg player screaming for the ball in the goal square there in Sellers, but he did the right thing and finished with 6 points.
Halfway through the opening quarter, what were we talking about, a shootout?
Well, the first five or 6 minutes was a real arm wrestle, but since then the ball has zinged up and down, back and forth.
That shot that theory down in flames, Neil. Taken by Cranston, away to Backwell. Panozzo always rebounding from half back. Look for Seller, just missed the target. White gets back, some body work on Fisher, and then caught by Seller. Umpire Ralston says, I won't reward you. Throw it in, boundary umpire.
Well, he's given a free kick away, but Damon White, that's a rugby try. You can see he's taken the ball. Watch him here. It's a rugby try. He's got over the line.
Right in front of Snouts Louds too. Well done. Damon White kicks high, thumped away by Mills. Another boundary throw in. Oh dear. Umpiring. I think we'll be talking about the year 2099, Rob.
Well, they can do no right and they can do no wrong, depending on which side of the fence you sit.
Cranston down to a big pack of players. Taken to ground was like O'Grady there.
There's certainly a lot more sitting on the side of the fence that they can do no right.
Correct. Oh, well, we need them. Need them in the game. They're important. Stewart got it down. Ryswick released pretty quickly. Probably didn't need to. And there's a bit of a dust-up just behind play. And who's on the bottom of that block?
Backwell Clark. We spoke about that matchup. Backwell Clark. Clarky certainly is a fiery bloke.
Tell you what, he's been sent by Daniel Healy to go out there and look after Backwell this afternoon. That's certainly my take from what I've seen thus far. And North Adelaide have broken the game open. Long for Gill, and he almost got it. Alloway with the trick shot, just astray for the minus score. Big guy doing some good work below the knees.
Well, you can see there that Gill and Alloway, the 2 tall targets, they are both athletic players, can fish the ball on the ground if they don't take it in the air. The beauty of North Adelaide taking the ball away quickly from the pack is that you do have those tools, and if they can get it in one-on-one, you'd give them a chance every day of the week.
No mark in there. And Daniel Stewart had a couple of goes at it and then couldn't quite get it in. Oh, almost. Cranston once again with the knockdown. Ruwalt just ducked the head, and Ryswick in with a tackle again. And another ball up. So we've ticked into 16.5 minutes. There's a Roosters supporter really enjoying what has been a pretty good game of football so far, and we haven't had too much of this, but we might get a bit more of it as North Adelaide look to shut it down a bit. Cranston down, Miller flicked it back. Thompson off the ground, Mills back away, taken by Meyer. Meyer looks for Allen, dribbling right there with him. Second effort dribbling. They dive in after the footy, and another ball up.
Just up behind the play at centre-half forward for North Adelaide. Daniel Stewart looks like he might be in a bit of discomfort with a knee or an ankle maybe. The trainers have been out with him as the game goes on, and off the ball. Tony Day was the umpire who came in and saw that Clark was again harassing Backwell, who takes off now, just gets the kick away down to half forward. Kirkby the leader. Centre field, he's got O'Grady. O'Grady in the corridor wants to go. Wright put the pressure on. The scrubber kick goes inside half forward though. And Ruwalt gets it long to the goal face. And she just out-positioned McIntyre. Grimer did it well. And round on the right leg, should kick a goal. Hooked it too far. Oh, big chance there for the Bays, blown.
I'll make my point again. At the Bay, you don't need to play on from the pockets. The pockets are not deep enough. Just go back. Toddy Grimer is a nice kick for goals, the leading goal scorer last year. Just go back. As a full forward, you're paid to kick goals, and the easiest kick to kick is a drop punt.
It's his home ground too, Rob. So
Should know that.
shots should know it. Kirkby, another mark to him. Normally good with disposal. Hinge, that's a strong mark. And that's a couple of good kicks by Kirkby to spot up teammates, and that was a beauty to Hinge.
Well, a couple of occasions, I believe that Glenelg in the first quarter haven't found the easiest option. They've kicked to pack situations. There's been one or two chances that they could have taken by giving the ball to a free play. You can see in that situation there that Kirkby certainly found the free man. Hinge on the lead.
John Hinge, 6 goals, 6, so he's 50-50 this season coming into the match. From 45. Good-looking kick. Goal umpire says you've just pushed it to the right. So the Bay's creeping a little closer. They trail by 3.
Well, blowing some easy opportunities, Glenelg at present. Certainly need to take the last 2 scoring shots that they've had. Should both be majors.
Kicking very wide, just inside the line there. Half back for Allen and now Motlop. Motlop taking his time as well. Again, they have numbers on the far side of the ground if he plays on and switches the play. Instead, he goes just down the line quickly. Davis now, back into the pocket they go. Stribling takes off. Glenelg moves its zone across the ground as Stribling gets it outside 50 to McIntyre, who wants to play on. He goes down the line with a wobbly kick that turns out pretty good. Armstrong infield he can go. They have numbers there as well, North Adelaide. They've played this one pretty well except for that. Turnover, back the other way. This side of the ground, Murphy, if he sees him, has Allen. He's decided instead to take the bounce and go to his non-preferred foot and turn it over to Davis. Well, that was another opportunity blown by the Bays.
Oh, you had Ty Allen in an acre, and that's pretty expensive down here at the Bay, an acre, isn't it?
It certainly is. Heck, there's more.
Hector, it is. I live in the past, Rob, you know that. Taken by Ryswick, left footer, it's a wobbly one, and Uni, good stretch. Called to play on, wants to centre it up. Target was Alloway, but getting in the gap and doing some good work down back is Todd Grimer.
Well, you can see the work rate of the Glenelg players. Toddy Grimer has been playing at full forwards, prepared to push back. See here, the umpires push back into defence and take the mark.
Well, he's been reported.
Umpire has reversed it due to, we think,
abusive language, you'd have to say.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? He's taken the mark, so I don't know how he's abused him, because he's got the ball.
Well, maybe he was trying to square up verbally for something that had happened earlier. He's pleading his case, Todd Grimer. I didn't see anything happening there at all.
No, Tony Day certainly heard something. We only hope that he's got it correct.
He's definitely said something. I think we've established that. So, and he's disappointed, Todd Grimer, but Wade Thompson's got it. And this to increase the lead to 9 points for the Roosters. Grimer took the mark and just looked pretty normal. Thompson's kick is away. And Todd Grimer would say, there is a goal and a footy goal.
We can see the incident here. He's taken the mark, asking for the ball. Well, he is mouthing off there, but it doesn't seem to be overly aggressive towards the umpire, but you just don't know what he said.
Yeah, well, of course, there's no reason the umpire can't give it against him if he considers the language over the top, even if it's not directed at the umpire, but anyway.
Nice comment from the crowd before too. He said to the umpire, no wonder you got red socks on.
Well, Sodas, I think it was, who suggested earlier that they just look like another North Adelaide player in their change strip this afternoon, the umpires. McIntyre couldn't take possession. Hinge can, and the Bays have one loose on this side of the ground again, and Kane has a bounce. Inside he goes and completes the job. No, just fading away to the left.
Well, you'd have to say that's another gimme, running inside 50 after one bounce. He got around an oncoming player, and to miss a goal like that certainly is devastating. 2 goals, 5 Glenelg haven't taken their opportunities when they've presented.
Armstrong from half-back for North Adelaide. Getting back, Lee Belts. Well done, Allen, Ty. Liebelt again. Oh, chopped off by Tearley. Tearley's kick, looking for Alloway. Mills, just ducking out the back was Alloway. Clever football. Kirk couldn't run onto it, nor too good Gill. Gill got a call from Alloway. The handball was smart, but not smart enough. That's a free kick surely against Ryswick on Panozzo. Nothing happening. Ben Kane working hard. Back to Ruwalt. Ruwalt's got a target in Kirkby. He sits it out in front and he should mark. Oh, should have been a free kick also. Not paid. Chris Hall away to Panozzo. Kirkby in trouble. Somehow back to Panozzo. Running through was Hall. Hall's left footer is a good one. Cranston. Well done, McIntyre. Murphy took the loose ball. Taken to ground by Pfeiffer. I thought a couple of frees in that bit of play, Rob Hyman.
Well, Trevor Cranston, if he's going to push forward and play as a tall forward, I reckon the coach would like him to play in front. Very hard to kick the ball over the top of your opponent unless you've got a short kick. On that occasion, Chris Hall had a lengthy kick.
Murphy took it off hands. It sort of bobbled to him, but he made the most of it. And he's got his second of the afternoon.
Well, finally, Glenelg kick a goal. You can see there a stoppage. The ball did move pretty quickly. The umpire got it going straight away. Back well, quick hands to Hinge even quicker. And Murphy, we know, is a highly skilled player, one-touch player. He only needs a little bit of space and he can be really damaging.
Second goal to Byron Murphy, and the Bays hit the lead by 3. So a close tussle. Seller in the ruck. Sloan, lovely pirouette to James Allen. James Allen kicks long, and Mills just did best. James Allen, a double best and fairest winner for North Adelaide, and a Magarey medalist. Panozzo at half back. He's got a couple of options. One of them's Murphy at the back. He's going to fly, Murphy, and take a screamer, and then gives it to Allen. Allen's thought about inboard to Kane, but he was covered. Back to Murphy. Murphy goes short, lets himself down with a kick, and floating across was Clark.
Well, I think we need to talk to Byron Murphy that when you take a specky, you go back and just hold the game up. You don't play on like that, so they can play the highlights tape.
Look at the celluloid going. Here's Uni, couldn't take it. Mills, short kick. Cranston in space. Does he want to play on? He does, and then goes with a horrible short kick, and it comes unstuck, and a free will go to Cunningham, who looks like he's got hit right in the chops.
Well, certainly another failed attempt to go forward, but what it does is give us an opportunity to have a look at Byron Murphy's screamer. Beautiful mark here, nice jump off one step.
Well, ball taken away. Oh, over the football, another one to Cunningham, and this time it's Hall.
Cunningham this time opts to go by hand wide, and then it gets the 1-2 back. Drops it up to centre wing. Alloway put his big body in front. The Bays, well, gee, they had it for a moment. It's tight and it's tough, and it's quick out there, and Holmes had his handball smothered. Young Sloan getting to his feet, number 19 there. Ackland just handballed it forward. Motlop, a good bounce. And now he takes a bounce, and nobody comes to him, so he can outpace his nearest opponent, which is Liebelt, go to the pocket, and what's the finish like for Motlop? Oh, wonderful! Magnificent, backed himself and kicked a great goal.
Well, that is just superb play. You can see a young player like Marlon Motlop, we'll be seeing more of him at AFL level, but to just take on his direct opponent there, you can see, had no hesitation in taking him on. Knew his own ability in terms of speed. The beauty of that run, he's taken the ball from the wing into the forward line, and at full stretch, kicks the ball almost on the junction, on the boundary line through the big sticks.
Andrew Lovett from Essendon, so good at that, and Marlon Motlop, just brilliant. Ackland down, siren. It is quarter time at the Bay.
And it's a 3-point contest at quarter time, with that goal from Motlop securing the lead back for North Adelaide, which to some extent had dominated that quarter on the scoreboard. On the other hand, Glenelg dominated in terms of blunders, I guess, up forward, Rob.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Glenelg wasted a number of opportunities when they went forward. I thought from the whole grounds perspective, their defence was good, their midfield was good. They got the ball inside 50 a number of times, but they just stuffed it up every time they went forward, either as a missed shot or missed opportunity and a forward that were presented, didn't have a direct opponent, and they just miskicked it or a mishandball. I think Glenelg will be happy that they're still in the game, but disappointed that they didn't capitalise more. In particular, Byron Murphy was fantastic with a couple of goals and a screamer.
Let's look at how it all unfolded. And certainly, you mentioned that man, Byron Murphy. Fantastic kick at goal there from those notoriously, as Rob says, narrow pockets.
You can see Stewart there, just nudged his direct opponent out. He's a nice kick, a long kick. Not the best angle for a left footer, but he had no troubles pushing the ball forward. The first 5 or 6 minutes, it was a real arm wrestle. But then from there, the ball went zing, zing, up and down the ground. You can see North Adelaide pushing the ball here forward. Uni was quick. Mules just a slightly a little bit slow there to get up off his feet. And Ryswick finished with a nice goal.
Just from what you've seen of these two sides, clearly Daniel Healy, the influence perhaps of Central District and Port Adelaide coming in, but Glenelg playing any different this season?
No, I don't think so. I just don't think that their skill level's as high as what it was last year. You can see this year they're kicking to a lot of packs. On that occasion, they kick to a one-on-one. That's what they need to do more. And they need more guys like Fisher and Backwell to get underneath the crummers, or to be crummers and get underneath the big guys when they push the ball forward.
Significant change, though, for the Bays this year. If you look at the figures from the first 6 rounds, their attack is down 11 points. Their defence is conceding 20 points more.
Yeah, well, obviously, the midfield may not be working so hard and might not just be their defenders. If you have a look at the statistics there, you can see the inside 50s obviously dominated by Glenelg, 13 there to 9. The centre breaks and around the midfield, I think Glenelg are on top. Daniel Healy will certainly be looking for their midfield to increase. Stats-wise, pretty much similar, but as you'd expect, Glenelg slightly ahead.
Okay, well, we've mentioned several times about it being Ladies' Day at the SANFL football, and of course Mother's Day tomorrow, so Michael Maney has found a mother in the crowd.
I certainly have, Neil. Ladies' Day, it's just terrific, and Mother's Day tomorrow and all that sort of thing. And I'm with the mum of one of the a couple of the players, actually, Chris and Ben Kane. I've got Kerry Kane with me. Thanks for joining us, Kerry.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think about the game so far?
It's going well, but they really just need to kick a few more goals, a lot more goals.
Ben's had a couple of opportunities too, and he hasn't been able to do it.
I know. Oh, just give him time. It'll happen.
You've got a couple of players, a couple of boys out here playing, but you do have 3 sons, and that's interesting. Tell us a little bit about the third son.
Well, my third son, well, Nick's
second son.
Nick's number 2, and he was playing with East Perth last year, but this year he's taken off and he's travelling overseas for 12 months, and hopefully it'd be nice to have him back here. Perhaps next year and all 3 of them be playing together. That'd be my ideal, you know, for the boys, but still.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about Ben and Chris. Now, what sort of boys are they?
Oh, they're great kids. They're great men. They've turned out to be really good young men, and they get on really well together and they live together. And but there's always rivalry. You know, they just they're always having a go at each other about anything and everything. Yeah, they're just good. Yeah, good best of mates really, and Nick as well when they're all together.
And they would have helped each other too, coming from Melbourne to play with Glenelg. How has that been for you, being a mum living in Melbourne still? How's that been?
Well, I found it really hard initially because they all left, the 3 of them, in the 1 week. So I had them all at home and then they all went. But it's been good for them. You know, the club's really made them feel welcome over here, and also my husband and I, when we've came across, and they've settled into living in Adelaide, and they've got, you know, Ben's going to uni and Chris has got an apprenticeship, and they're doing really well, and they've got great friends, and yeah, the club's great, and so that's made it really easy for us, you know, although there's a distance, but it's not too far. My husband gets across nearly every weekend to see the boys play, and I probably get across here once a month or something like that.
And have they got something lined up for you, special tomorrow?
I'm not too sure, but I'm planning to do the Mother's Day Classic with Chris's girlfriend. We're running that tomorrow morning, and then Ben's girlfriend and her mum, we're all going out for lunch or brunch together, and the boys.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure meeting you, Kerry. Let's hope the Bays can keep going and the boys can do well. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael Maney there with Kerry Kane. And, of course, yeah, Mother's Day would be a lot better if the Bays actually win for her.
Well, you'd think she's supporting North Adelaide with the colours she's wearing.
Yes. Yeah, we left that out, didn't we? Down to Sodas now. While all that interviewing's been going on, Sodas, you've been listening intently to the huddles.
Yeah, just before that, I snuck over to the umpires just to find out what happened with the Todd Grimer report. Now, very tight-lipped over there, not happy to give away too much information. We can tell you he was reported. No, I think they do. But they didn't want to give out too much. We know he's been reported. His language was inappropriate and it wasn't directed towards the umpires. So make of that what you will. I think if you have a look around, you might be able to work out, if we look at the replay, what actually happened there. Todd Grimer in a little bit of trouble. Daniel Healy disappointed with his side in terms of Glenelg being very tough and very hard at it. And he would like them to just work a bit harder around the stoppages, where Mark Micken was very impressed with the endeavour of his boys. Just wants them to take a bit more care on their release and with their chances. Here's Michael Maney.
Michael Maney running as hard as he can up the stairs. We'll just wait for him. Umpires are waiting now for Sodas to leave the ground. Yes, a little bit of confusion over that report, but nevertheless, as it turned out, didn't have too much effect on the game. It's a 3-point margin in favour of North Adelaide. Cranston up high before acceptances. Allen out of the middle quickly for the Bays. Long and direct they go. Seller overran it. And now Ryswick slipped it to Motlop. What a great goal he kicked late in the first quarter. Long and high he goes, so you can see the pattern really for both sides. And as what Pipeman mentioned, ball zipping up and down the ground very quickly in that opening quarter. Nick Gill surrendering the pill. Fisher at the bottom of the pack. Got it to Ruwalt, who went long, and Clark, who's had the measure, I think, of Backwell thus far. Maybe just distracting Brett Backwell a bit from the task at hand. Clearly that David Clark's been sent out there to look after Brett Backwell. To half forward in Cranston. And now Ruwalt. And Gill got him. And he wasn't going anywhere.
First minute of this game has started like the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. Just a bit of an arm wrestle at the moment.
Up goes Ackland. Down Murphy, who's been outstanding, to Allen. Kick down the line. Good mark. Grimer hasn't let the report affect him. Left footer, piercing kick over the back. It rolls. Or could have been a free kick to a Bay player. Here's Kirkby. Has been good, crouched over the footy, 2-on-1, Kirkby's laying on it. I think he might be penalised. No. He did all right there, Kirkby, used the rules in the AFL. I think he was gone.
There's no doubt if it was an AFL umpire, they would have been holding the ball. In the SANFL, they don't pay them.
They don't. In goes Seller. Good commitment by James Seller. I've seen him do a couple of things today. It's been very, very good.
Byron Murphy, top ball getter on the ground. 4 kicks, 7 handballs.
Thanks, Ian.
That's the first.
Ball up. Ackland just got it down. Seller again, first in. Davis dives on the football, number 34. The youngster for North Adelaide, just picking himself up now. Chris Hall also there. Good crowd in this afternoon. Play going nowhere at the moment. Cunningham, who copped a couple of blows in that first quarter. And another ball up.
It's interesting, I think both teams, and we've mentioned it before in the call, that the ball does zing up and down, and then there seems to be a lot of stoppages. Both teams are playing similar fast break styles of game, but they have a stoppage, and if they can move the ball from that stoppage quickly, they tend to score. If not, it just ends up an arm wrestle.
Allen fed it out to Mules. It'll be play on advantage to Meyer. Meyer can go inside half forward with his kick here. Every time he's at it, he's kept it low. Fisher with the rove off the left foot. Seller, no, out on the full, I reckon. Umpires saw it that way down there, so it'll be a free kick to North Adelaide. Fisher there. Came across from Sandringham in the VFL. Won it best and fairest in 2005 with the Bays. Oh, dangerous kick across goals, and it's out of bounds. Ruwald coming in. He'll get the congratulations from Don Hinge. And still, it's in that forward line of the Bays. What was, I think, at one stage, the cricket practice wickets over there. So the ball thrown in. Seller picked it up immediately. A bit of a bear hug from Kane Ackland. Now we get another ball up. The stop-start passages continue. Hall, high. Right, taken high, and Grimer was the man doing the damage, and umpire come in quickly to separate them, but Matty Wright will take the free kick eventually.
Much love lost between Wright and Grimer. Don't think he was happy with the tackle. No. Damon White, the captain, 4-year contract and committed to the Roosters. Kicks to a pack situation. Thumped away by Mills, roving by Teal, he was outstanding. To Thompson, you won't catch him on a full burst. He's kicked looking for Stewart, he's a left footer. He's got an open paddock. Daniel Stewart from outside 50, loads up, it bounces and hits the post. Hit the fat bit.
Unlucky there, Daniel Stewart. You can see when North moved the ball quickly, getting the ball to him in a one-on-one contest, he just reads the ball so well. He picked up that ball was going to fall short. His direct opponent certainly didn't. He read the ball a lot quicker than Meyer. Turned around and just missed.
Ben Kane with the kick. Long to centre wing. Centre of the pack, Cranston down to Hinge. Did well to get the arms loose. Gave it to Kirkby, who was wrapped up immediately.
Hey, James, got that out.
Colin Rouston, the umpire, doing the directing there. Allen did brilliantly to Ruwalt to half forward. Grimer had the ball knocked away by Cunningham. He followed up. It wasn't Cunningham, in fact, it was Davis. Now a rare kick for Backwell, but a good one. And he finds Hinge, and Hinge goes to Seller on the lead, half volleyed it well. McIntyre got him, released the ball. Pretty well, Seller in the end. And now off the ground, what did the umpire think? He thought it was a free kick.
In danger, I would say. Seller's kicking the ball off the ground. See, Hinge got the ball, kicked the ball forward. Seller didn't lead, and you can see here the ball bubbled up, and then Seller came in for a second effort, kicked the ball off the ground, gave away a free kick.
Cunningham was the man who had his hands on the ball. Meyer with the big leap. Alloway in on Grimer. And now we get another ball up, will we? No, it's not coming out of there.
A bit of pace on in this second term. And just the one score so far behind to Daniel Stewart at the 4-minute mark. Cranston down James Allen, immediately collared. Handball to the line. Stribling had right, but then decided to just throw it on the boot. Uni tried to work Mules out of the contest. Hall had to go and did all right against Alloway, who was coming to the bench. And he's got a bit of an injury there, I think. And there's Go Roosters, that young fan. Isn't that terrific? And the Roosters fans. Can't hardly see it. I think they need to go with a bolder texter. In goes Ty Allen at the bottom of the pack. And yeah, let's see. I can't quite see that. My eyes. I love my wow. I love my mum. That's terrific, isn't it? The girls. Well done by Meyer. Some fancy footwork. Ends up with Gill. Lost it, then went back in after it. Teely's there, the youngster, and a ball up. Play just going nowhere. 7 minutes gone.
It's an interesting matchup with Gill and Kirk. Kirk certainly made his name as a ruckman, but you can see how much belief that Mark Micken has in him and his athletic ability to be able to go with a guy like Gill.
Tell you what, the Australian Institute of Sport had a lot of faith in his athletic
Certainly
ability.
did.
They picked him up as a kayaker, and Kirk just fancied the idea of football more, and so after missing most of last season, he ended up playing in the grand final. And the ball scrubbed forward, White read it quickest, and he takes it ahead of Grimer and then goes into the midfield. They're looking for loose players. They've gone to Motlop. Gee, they had a couple in the corridor, one of them Stribling. Eventually they got it to him. Stribling can go wide to Miller, but he's elected to go further afield to right. Miller's cruising past. He's opted to hold the ball, and now into the corridor again. Dangerous kick, but it came off to Clark. Clark waits, gets a couple of leads. Uni, one of them. Uni goes back into the middle of the pack. Ball at the front in Gill's hands, and what a snap! Oh, it's that easy. Big contest. Gill reads the ball. Goal.
His first kick today.
We can see Clark spotted Daniel Stewart on the lead. He caused the contest. Nick Gill not showing his usual flair in terms of high-flying ability, but showing plenty of flair there in terms of his snapping ability. It's not a bad snap, that on the right foot from about 48 metres.
Lovely kick by Nick Gill. He can do that, can't he? And then miss them from 15 direct in front.
Frustrating player to coach, I would say.
Always gives 100% though, and the umpire's going to call it back. There's a terrible bounce in the middle. Round 7 of last year. And that is why Brett Backwell is getting a hard tag by David Clark. He got 3 votes in the McGarry, 2 to John Hinge and 1 to James Allen. So with the Bays winning by 26 points, 40 goals kicked in that match. Here's Ruwalt. Looks for Cranston. That's wonderful play. Out to Hall on his non-preferred right boot, but he goes long and finds his man in Seller. James Seller. Probably kicked a few goals from here at training, I'd say. And he's having a good long look at it now. If this was Central District, there's no way known that Seller would take a kick at goal from here. He would look for a short option.
Correct. Centrals are the most disciplined team when they have the ball on the boundary line. They don't take set shots from there. They get the ball into the corridor.
North have blocked up some holes, you'd have to say, but Seller. Good looking kick. Wonderful kick by James Seller. He has been working over there in the last couple of weeks.
Well, if you know your own ability and you're confident in that ability, take your chances. That's exactly what Seller did. Some great work by Chris Hall in the centre of the ground. He had the first possession, backed it up with the second on his non-preferred foot. That's his right boot. Found Sellers. It's good to see James Sellers on the lead. It's what he needs to do more. It's why the Crows would like to see what they just saw there in that passage of play. Leading out, taking a mark, going back, kicking the goal, and he's certainly pumped up.
Hall again with the clearance, straight down to Kirkby, and he's every chance from here. Rory Kirkby, he thinks he is. He'll have to kick it maybe 55 metres on the fly.
Certainly has use of what breeze there is today. Southerly breeze at the back of Kirkby.
Sits it up, helicopters its way goalward, and smack into the post.
Certainly didn't come off the boot as he would have hoped. Ugly floating punt kick. Plenty of distance on it.
Got to be careful how you say that, Rob. Out of the back, taken by Backwell. Quick hands, Hall, left footer, hooked behind. Had a bit more time than he thought.
Well, you can see the frustration on Chris Hall's face there, but the crowd certainly are getting frustrated as well. Glenelg again missing another opportunity. That takes them to 4 goals, 7 points.
Just edging so much closer though to North Adelaide. Oh, big leap, and unable to pull it down in the end was White. Seller, interesting hand pass. Found Panozzo, now Kirkby, and then Allen. He'll want a hand pass. Oh, he did too, and in the end he was pinged for throwing the ball. It'll be play on advantage, and North Adelaide work it from deep in defence. Allen on this side has right. He can run on because that was a beautiful kick. Takes a bounce, closing fast was Meyer, couldn't get there, and the kick for Gill, oh, it's just about in his hands and taken away by Mules. And back come the Bays the other way, and they have numbers on the outer side of the ground, and Murphy is the next man in the chain, and he can go.
Murphy from the wing. Tries to run around, gets it to Kane at his bootlaces. Thought about giving it back to Murphy. Stepped around a player. Oh, Mum would be happy about that. Taken by Hinge. Hinge shoots for goal. And she wouldn't be happy about that as Hinge misses to the right-hand side.
Well, that passage of play all started in the back line there with Mules. You can see there Nick Gill unlucky not to get a free kick, pulling the jumper, but Mules' desperation in the end, just getting his fist on the ball, caused that shot on goal for Glenelg. Started at one end, they whizzed the ball up the other.
Now called to play on. Motlop wide, too wide, out on the full. Great pressure from the Bays, and it's in the hands of Fisher. And Fisher centres it high. Have a leap at this one. Kirkby in the middle of the pack. Motlop in trouble. Oh, I think he thought he was in the AFL and he couldn't rush the point.
So he went for the boundary line.
Spot on, I reckon, Neil.
Let's have another look. Just the indecision that comes across his face, I reckon. Oh, yeah. Forced to handball it away. Meanwhile, balls come back into play. Umpire circling. Wait on it. We'll get another ball up.
So it begs the question, why wasn't that deliberate?
Sort of got lost, I think, in the arc of the tackle. Anyway, it comes down to North Adelaide's right. He goes to Cranston, matched up on Allen. No contest. Cranston thumps it away over the boundary line.
Allen is North Adelaide's leading possession winner. He's had 11 possessions. Motlop, who just handballed the ball out of bounds deliberately there previously. He's on 10.
Rub it in.
I just can't believe that wasn't paid. Maybe the umpire thought he was going for the points.
Well, James Allen, really the engine room of the Roosters. This man, an engine room also of the Bays. Taken by Hall. Chris Hall looking for space. Finds Fisher. Fisher's kick out in front of Sella. Oh, and just chipping in and taking the mark was Damon White. Just stole it off James Sella. And we know he's a punishing kick, and he kicks to a pack, and Gill couldn't get a leap on it. Ball caught in underneath. Daniel Kirk working very hard over the top uni, and another ball up.
You wonder if Nick Gill is 100%. He certainly isn't running around. Kirk's doing a good job on him thus far in the game.
Here goes Rory Sloane, and I know for a fact that Rory Sloane's mum sitting watching the football with Ben and Chris Kane's mum this afternoon. So the girls have got together to watch the sons play. In goes Nick Gill. Over the back, Clark, Stribling. Off a step, Alloway. Don't get in this man's way. He will bust you in half. Alloway kicks long, hoping for a uni mark, but Meyer was just a little bit too young and athletic on that occasion. Shorts it up to Panozzo, and Panozzo just looking to give.
Oh, gee, he must have been confident then, because Wade Thompson was chasing him. Now they work it through the corridor. Now Panozzo finds a bit of space. He goes long to the goal face, and slipping back there is Wright to take an easy mark.
No closer now.
They'll reset North Adelaide.
He's all right where he is.
Glenelg have pushed most of their players up inside the front half of the ground to press forward. Wright forced to kick. Now he's forced to play on. Lucky to get the rebound off Chris Kane. Goes to the pocket. McIntyre delivers long. Cranston opposed to Stewart. Neither could get a handle on it. Now the Bays come back through Hall. He starts it on the left goal post, and it stays left for the minor score.
Well, Sellers was screaming for the ball at the top of the goal square, and Kirkby was free. Chris Hall only had vision for the goals, unfortunately.
Couple of behinds to Chris Hall. Rory Sloane got it to the outer side. The Gill and Kirk matchup has been a beauty. Gill, nowhere to go, forced to the line, did get rid of it. Pfeiffer taken down, and umpire Ralston, just have a look at Gill, and I think it's Panozzo over there, is it? Having a bit of a dust-up at the end. Daniel Kirk just headed out of that. Cranston down, Pfeiffer. Thought he might have initially got one high, and that ball was touched. Miller got the kick away, but it was touched off the boot and a boundary throw in. There's a young, it'd take a while to get through that, I reckon, Rob, wouldn't it, that young bloke? He's at the wrong game too.
Fair-sized dummy.
Yeah, some just can't break the habit. Taken by Kane, away to Panozzo. Meyer, inside the centre square. Long roost, Sellers at the back, and he's not got it. I thought he was going to be paid. Stribling with the crumbs, bounces it to the line, and I think that mark ought to have been paid.
It's an interesting matchup too. Crows plays there, pushing the back on Davis. Sellers bubbled the ball. Was it a mark or wasn't it? Not for me. Play on.
Phil Davis had a glance at the umpire, said, "Oh, good, not a mark. We'll play on then, shall we?"
Ever umpired, Rob? Ever umpired a game?
I have actually. Yeah.
Geez, should be tough.
Backyard game. It's a lot of play on. It's a free kick there for a push. One grab, two grab. Oh, in slow-mo, it always looks like it's a mark.
Interesting with scores level inside 50s at 24 to Glenelg and 12 to North.
Right, down to half forward. Alloway doing a lot of pushing and shoving, but the ball was taken away from him by Wade Mills. Now, we haven't called that name too often this afternoon. Ball over the boundary line. We're going to throw it at half forward for the Bays.
Thanks, mate.
On Hinge. One game with the Adelaide Football Club. Comes to right. Gee, he's had a lot of the ball to White. And then they move it through the midfield. Armstrong goes wide. Now they're in a bit of trouble, having moved it that wide. Pfeiffer down to half forward, picked off by Panozzo. Thought it was a half volley. Umpire said okay. In the corridor, he's got numbers, and on this side of the ground, Benny Mills is by himself, and so's Byron Murphy. They've just got to switch the play.
Let's go, let's go!
Slow to react, Panozzo decides to go down the line. Kirkby on the lead. Kane cuts in front, decided to play on, said the umpire, and he goes across the boundary line.
Well, Glenelg is certainly dominating in terms of possessions, 131 possessions to 107. They were almost even at quarter time. Glenelg just not capitalising on the scoreboard. As you can see there, a young fella.
Big Tiger fan, although Tiger of a different kind, actually.
Knock it, knock it!
He's got his
wrong state.
He's got a hard life ahead backing Richmond. But anyway, on to Meyer, speaking of Richmond, a former Tiger from across the border, kicks long to the goal square. There was holding! And the free kick will go to Seller, I think it is, will get it in the end as he wanders back, content that that was holding by Davis with a hand around the front of the jumper.
Davis would be pretty disappointed at the moment because I think 2 minutes earlier he missed out on a dead set free kick that Sellers pushed him in the back. Fortunately, it was a different umpire and Davis has been caught on that occasion.
James Seller with already 1 goal this afternoon. The sharpshooter wasn't really needed that time. There was plenty of room to aim at the goals then. And the Bays take the lead.
Free kick that was definitely there. You can see 2 hands around the waist. It was ticky-touch, but the umpire was in good position. And if they see you grab a Guernsey, doesn't matter where it is, particularly if it's in front of goal, they're going to pay it every time.
James Seller, who could forget that beautiful goal he kicked from the flank early. He's got a couple in this quarter and 2 for the game.
Well, this could be the making of James Sellers because certainly the Adelaide Crows need a tall forward.
The Bays lead by 6.
What's that? They need a forward.
They need a
at
forward.
the moment.
He's flexible. He can go back and forward, which is terrific. Cranston to Panozzo to Fisher. Fisher kicks. Kirkby went early. Couldn't quite hang on to it. Would have been a beauty if he had it. In goes Teal and he pushes his man to the back. There'll be another free kick to the Bays, and it's going to Ben Kane.
Beautiful leap by Kirkby. Went very early, hard to control. White put enough pressure on him, but you can see the free kick there. Definite push in the back.
Just needed to see if he could just pull him back off it and couldn't quite get there. The momentum took Teal forward, and Ben Kane, who has kicked a couple of behinds so far in the match from right on 50. Across the face, Grimer couldn't quite hang on. It's a behind. Bays by 7.
I think the Glenelg are trying to win by kicking the most amount of points in a game at the moment because they certainly are not taking their opportunities, and you do wonder if the game becomes tight in the second half if they'll end up paying the ultimate price.
5 goals, 10 now for the Bays. Motlop, and this has been the style of North Adelaide. Flick it around the back from side to side, spot a gap, see if they can go forward from there. Interesting hand pass this one. It's set up young Tealy straight away. Don't know about that from Stribling. He should have seen the player coming through in Meyer.
I think you're being very kind in saying interesting hand pass there. That was a very poor decision in handballing the ball to somebody with their back to play.
Clearly the Bays fans thought the up before acceptances from Stewart wasn't acceptable.
You can see the replay here. Well, certainly had his knee around his ear hole.
Ball trapped in again, hard and tough on centre wing. Umpire Tony Day, who's already had the report card out this afternoon. Warning James Allen. Caught in there again. Watch for the free kick being picked out. No, not this time. Won't be long though. So Seller in ruck and opposed to the taller player in Stewart. Seller directs it down. Allen taken again. Becomes a crucial part of the game. What do we have? 3, 4 ball ups in a row. The clearance from this contest, very important. Right on. Umpires pick one out off the ball. And surprise, surprise, it's Clark v. Backwell again.
Well, he's paying plenty of close attention, and it's probably time that David Clark woke up to the umpires, keeping a very, very close eye on that matchup.
Colin Ralston was about 100 metres from the contest and overruled Tony Day, or didn't overrule, just made a decision from a fair way back.
And Brett Backwell's a smart player. There's no doubt he may well have said to the umpires at some point in time, just keep a bit of an eye on this matchup. I'm getting manhandled.
Stribling's wobbler, Ryswick. Danny Myers' tackling is a real feature of his game. Really does stick those tackles. And we're back to where we were a couple of minutes ago. Stewart jumping early, bit of deja vu. Didn't look like a free kick then, and another ball up. I'll go one more, Neil, and if I can't clear it, well, just the old hand pass to you. As Seller got it down, backward, close to the line. Hall, Ruwalt, Meyer needs to get the kick away. Wormburner, Chris Kane picked it up brilliantly. Now, how does he dispose of it? He can't. The tackle was outstanding from young Cunningham, and Chris Kane really wants to go on with it, but Cunningham's got the free kick. Wonderful tackle.
Well, it was a beautiful pickup, but an even better tackle. Didn't quite free his arm quick enough and couldn't get rid of the ball.
Now they've gone back to McIntyre so they can go around, if you know what I mean. And he's gone to the far side. Had to be good from Stribling. Was tripped over. Umpire said it'll be a free kick because he had played on from the actual mark. So Stribling now taking his time. Clark trying to make some space for him. And he's ignored that. And he's just back taking his time again. And now he'll try and flick it to this side of the ground. McIntyre available. No. Going to hold it on the far side of the ground. He goes wide, very wide, too wide, in fact. And as we suggested earlier, real estate very expensive down here at the Bay, and there's not a lot of it.
There isn't. And if you're going to move the balls as slow as North Adelaide are at present, and have a lot of this, boundary throw-ins and ball-ups.
Well, it makes you have to be very good at the ball-ups. Now, here's something you don't see very often, a kick from Allen, and that's why. It just sat up. He follows up on the ground. Watch for the hand pass this time. There he is trying to slip it out. Just got it forward. Right over the ball. He's been good for North Adelaide this afternoon. Back behind play. Wright is down, and I think it's Stribling as well, inside their defensive 50. Backwell puts it high for Glenelg. Big high there, but big fly there from Armstrong, and now it's caught in tight. And that's it for half a game. And Toby Stribling, it is in a lot of pain, it looks like, and a lot of trouble there for North Adelaide. Now that's inside their defensive 50, and he's struggling to get himself off the ground. We're just going to have another look, Robert, how it unfolded.
We can see here he's dived in. I'm not sure if it's his shoulder or his knee, but he certainly is in a bit of pain there. You can see it's obviously his leg, the way he's limping. Great quarter for Glenelg in terms of possessions. Not a great quarter in terms of putting scoreboard pressure on. They had a number of inside 50s. Didn't take their chances. North Adelaide are becoming frustrating to watch. They're moving the ball from side to side, not using the corridor at all. Glenelg, on the other hand, certainly pushing the ball forward. Just need to be more accurate in front of goal.
Half-time at the Bay. It's Glenelg 5-10-40 leading North Adelaide 5-3-33.
Surfing connected with a new generation of kids that wanted to be different.
Bombora, the story of Australian surfing. Our social history as viewed from the beach. Available now on DVD.
We were rude, we were provocative.
Did a lot of things I think weren't that sensible.
Also available, the Bombora CD, the soundtrack to Australian surfing.
The beach became the place to be.
Bombora on DVD and CD soundtrack from ABC shops, ABC centres, retailers and online.
I've come for a formal handover.
This is our country, our mob, our law.
It's part of our songline, part of our dreaming.
What do you do when economics and ancient culture collide?
No wonder they thought they were at the far ends of the earth.
Even the trees are upside down.
Dirt Game. Tomorrow, ABC One.
For those of you who don't read newspapers, listen to the radio, or you've been living under a rock, this is what's happening.
Tonight, there's no escaping the crime on ABC One.
I turned my back for 1 minute.
Can't trust anybody these days.
After new tricks, the Bills out in force, searching for answers. Then foils war.
I came as soon as I heard.
David Tennant goes back in time.
Eyebrows will be raised.
Unmissable viewing.
So it's the Tigers by 7 points at half-time. Time to look at the under-18 competition, and Tigers doing all right there as well.
They certainly are. The top of the ladder, haven't lost the game. They're looking fantastic as a club, and I think it's great for them going forward. And Port Adelaide are also around the mark in terms of their academy. They've got some good young players emerging. It's just their seniors are not performing at the moment.
Well, they need them to emerge in a hurry, don't they? At the moment, Port Adelaide, of course, zip and 5 in the league competition. Time to look back at the last round of the under-18 competition.
Last week we were wondering how the Bays would fare with no less than 8 players being lost to college football, including round 5's most valuable player, Andrew Bradley. Well, with 8 replacements aiming to impress, the Tigers set the pace early and quickly dismissed any fears they would be underpowered. Glenelg led comfortably at every break, and although the Panthers matched them through the third quarter, the result was never in doubt. The day's leading goal scorer was Tigers full forward Joshua Trembath, who scored 5 quality goals, the last of which in the dying minutes of the final quarter, in which the Panthers were held goalless. 198cm ruckman Michael Bennett from Millicent was impressive with 4 strong marks, and returning from a 2-year hiatus for 2 shoulder reconstructions, centre-half forward Darren Clunes was among Glenelg's best. For South Adelaide, Keegan Brooksby scored 3 goals, and once again 18-year-old Elijah Horrocks was outstanding with 33 disposals. But it was Glenelg that marched on to their 6th win in a row, downing the Panthers by 62 points at the Bay. After a poor start to the new season, during which we saw the Bulldogs languishing at the bottom of the under-18 ladder, Central District is beginning to show the sort of form we're accustomed to seeing from the north. Slowly climbing back up the ladder, Central put an end to Norwood's good run last Saturday with a 24-point win at the Ponderosa. 17-year-old Chad Barmby led the scoring for the Bulldogs with 3 goals from his tally of 8 kicks and 5 handballs. Daniel Menzel began the game up forward where he kicked 1 goal, but was later moved into the midfield where he picked up best on ground with 33 disposals. For Norwood, you couldn't overlook Matthew Panos, once again reliable up front, kicking 5 goals and taking 11 marks. And Tom Langford produced another good performance with 3 goals. But even after keeping Central District goalless in the second quarter, Norwood wasn't able to hold off a strong finishing Bulldogs. In the end, it was the Dogs by 24 points. Last year's under-17 grand final was fought out by these two teams. On that occasion in September, Sturt took home the silverware. So in effect, last Saturday was a grand final rematch, and Port Adelaide set out to make amends. Coming off the bye last week, Port came out of the gates at a gallop and quickly made sure Sturt was never in the race. In the first quarter blitz, Port kicked 6 goals in the first 20 minutes, with 2 to young Tim Malira, who's only just turned 17, and 2 to wingman Matthew Rose, who, with 21 possessions and 4 goals for the match, was named among Port's best on ground. Caleb Howell, in his second game for Port Adelaide, kicked 4 goals. At 19, Caleb is one of 6 overage players who, under SANFL guidelines, is allowed to participate in the under-18 competition each week. He was one of 5 goal scorers in Port's strong third quarter, again adding 6 goals in just over 20 minutes. The Double Blues were served well by on-baller John Greenslade with 3 goals and Bill Abbott with 2. It was the Magpies' day as they moved to second spot on the ladder, beating Sturt by 29 points. With only 1 win for the season, the Roosters were hoping for a break in their luck when they visited the 8th place Eagles last weekend. But even though the early signs were promising, it wasn't going to be their day. Coming back from a 4-goal deficit in the first quarter, the Eagles surged ahead to lead at every break and eventually won by 8 goals, leaving North Adelaide securely fixed to the bottom rung of the under-18 ladder. Jake von Berto has just returned from a tour of South Africa with the AIS. Jake played against South African teams and ran coaching clinics in some of the black townships in a country where Australian rules football is now being played by more young people than ever before. There's no doubt that Jake has talent to share. He returned to Woodville Oval on Saturday and showed his superiority in the air. He completely dominated full forward, kicking 6 goals with only 1 behind. The round's most valuable player across the 4 matches was Henley High School's Byron Sumner. Byron, who played reserves for the Eagles last year, used his pace well, sweeping up the wing to kick 3 goals on his way to the MVP. Another standout for the Eagles was 16-year-old Jared Pollock, who found the big sticks 5 times to help his side take their 2nd win of the year. So despite a slow start, in the end it was the Eagles over the struggling Roosters by 52 points to wrap up round 6.
And a quick review of those scores. Glenelg very easily by more than 10 goals over the Panthers. Centrals by 24 points. Port by 29. And the Eagles by a very comfortable 52 points over North Adelaide. And Westies, of course, with the bye. The ladder looks like this. We've already talked about the Tigers. They're up there. Port and Westies, good signs for the future.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Sturt, obviously, last year being the premiers in this competition, even though there wasn't an under-18s, their juniors are always strong. Down at the bottom of the ladder, surprisingly, is North Adelaide. The last couple of years, they've had some really good juniors. They must be pushing them through, and maybe a lot of them are playing reserves football.
Okay, now we're going to go around the country, but before we do, let's talk to start with about the WAFL and look forward to the state game that's coming up, of course, on May 23 on ABC One. Your thoughts? South Australia's still the preeminent competition?
I think so. You only have to have a look at perhaps Chris Hall today, who certainly hasn't dominated at this level over there in Western Australia. He has dominated, won a number of premierships.
3 in a row.
Three, in fact, you're correct, 3 in a row. So I think so that the South Australian National Football League and the South Australian state team has been strong for a long period of time, and I think that will continue.
Don't worry, bragging rights will be up for grabs again in that match between the 2 state teams on the 23rd of May. Meanwhile, let's look at the competitions from around Australia.
Claremont were hoping a change in coach may lead to their first win of the season in round 7 of the Waffle against Peel. But the Thunder's Luke Hammond set the tone early, booting the first goal in under a minute. Ashley Arrowsmith made the difficult look easy, and when Robert Beswick capitalised from a Tigers error, Peel led by 23 points at quarter time.
Beswick picks up the footy and makes Claremont pay.
The Tigers' intensity lifted in the second quarter, but their execution was a little off. Luke Blackwell finally rewarding the home side, converting from a tight angle before Trinity Handley tightened the margin, as the Thunder were kept goalless for the quarter, but still led by 11 at the main break. Peel came out determined to make amends in the third as Brad Holmes led the charge.
Oh, now Holmes, he's already kicked 1 in this quarter, now he's kicked 2.
The visitors could do no wrong as Anthony Morabito bounced through his second goal, while Jared Vignette tried to lift Claremont's spirits with his third. The Thunder's 11-goal to 3 third quarter, giving them a 47-point lead at the final change. Last term saw Claremont spark a fight back led by Handley, kicking his 4th, and the first game in Vignette unstoppable up forward. He booted his 6th goal soon after, but Claremont would fall just short, Peel holding on to win by 4 points in a thriller. An outstanding performance from Jared Vignette, seeing him kick 6 goals on debut, while Brad Holmes kicked 4 for the Thunder. In other matches, Swan Districts were convincing winners over West Perth. Perth defeated the Sharks in a good contest, while the Bulldogs proved too strong for the Royals. Subiaco had the bye. To the ladder, and South Fremantle moved to the top of the table, followed by the Sharks and the Thunder, with Perth making up the top 4. The Swans, Subiaco, West Perth and the Royals are all outside on percentage, with Claremont on the bottom. A galaxy of AFL stars turned out for their affiliate sides as Coburg and Casey faced off in round 4 of the VFL. And it didn't take long for former Eagle Ben Cousins to find the ball in his comeback game.
And there he is. Cousins gets the early touch.
The Tigers recruit racking up the stats in the first term as his side took a slender 7-point lead into quarter time. The game opened up in the second, #1 draft pick Jack Watt showing his class.
Now the young man sprinting onto it, and he goes with the left foot and kicks the goal.
Before the teams traded majors in a high-scoring quarter, Casey's 6 goals to 5 for the term, seeing them lead by 2 points at the main break. The third term was all the Scorpions, the visitors showing they had plenty of sting in their tails as they put on 4 goals to none. And they were doing it down the other end as well. Alex Silvani flying high.
Oh! Silvani takes the mark of the day and a contender for mark of the year as well.
Before tensions boiled over, an all-in brawl on the siren, threatening to involve the public who had made their way onto the field.
Umpires calling for security to get around because, of course, there's people out on the ground.
The focus returned to the football in the last term, and when Coburg put on the first 2, it looked as though they were making a charge.
2 goals in the first 4 minutes, and Coburg are back.
But it wasn't to be. A brilliant finish from Watts, again demonstrating his talent as his side slammed on 5 of the last 7 goals to run out comfortable 42-point winners. 5 majors to Michael Newton, seeing him lead all scorers and claim best of field honours, while Cousins did enough to find himself in Coburg's best and earn a recall to the Richmond side. In other round 4 action, Williamstown were far too good for Sandringham, winners by 48 points. Port Melbourne got home in a tight one over the Cats. Collingwood went down to North Ballarat by 5 points. The Tigers beat the Hawks by 21. The Bull Ants did it easily over Frankston, and Bendigo had the bye. To the ladder in Williamstown, the Bull Ants and Port lead from a group of 7 teams locked on 8 points apiece, while Geelong, Frankston and Bendigo are still yet to post a victory in 2009. In round 4 of the TSL, ladder leaders Burnie ventured to North Hobart with a home side away to better start courtesy of Kenny Hall.
And he thumps it. And he thumps it.
Both forward lines were deadly as Brent Archer kicked his second for the Dockers, while Caden Wilson did likewise for North Hobart as they led by 4 points at quarter time. The Demons continued to impress in the second quarter as Tom James took advantage of some sloppy Burnie defence, their confidence soaring as Sam Darling kicked his third.
Gee whiz. Good kick.
Gee whiz, that's a terrific kick.
The home side's lead out to 14 points at half-time as the Dockers looked for somewhere to hide. North Hobart's skills wandered in the third quarter as Burnie's teamwork lifted. Kay Breakey unselfishly setting up Harry Walters before Justin Plapp's second goal gave the Dockers an 8-point lead at the final change. Skipper Plapp urged his players to stay focused in the last.
Now the big thing is we've got to continue on how we left that last quarter.
And they responded, with Archer booting his third. They failed to fully capitalise on the scoreboard, booting an inaccurate 3 goals 7 for the term, but still ran out winners by 30 points to give Brad Davies the perfect result in game 200. Wilson leading the charge for North Hobart, while Plapp and Archer each booted 3 for the Dockers. In other matches, the Blues had a good win over the Bulldogs. Devonport were comfortable winners over Lauderdale, while Clarence thrashed the Tigers by 59 points. To the ladder, and Burnie is still on top with just 1 loss for the year. Then it's Devonport, Glenorchy, Launceston, the Bombers and Clarence just inside the top 6. North Hobart are outside on percentage from Lauderdale and Hobart, while the winless Bulldogs are on the bottom.
So there's Kirsty Bradmore with all the action from around the country and all the action here. Well, as we said, there were times when the ball was just zipping up and down the ground, and then other times, certainly in that second term, when North Adelaide were, well, struggling, shall we say, to get it out of their defensive zone.
They certainly were. They were going around in circles. Very rarely did they go through the corridor. On the one occasion when David Clark got the ball in the corridor, they scored, kicked the ball forward, and Gill got on the end of it and snapped. This guy in the second quarter really did get Glenelg's game going. Chris Hall, they moved him into the centre of the ground. He had 2 clearances. James Seller spoke a lot about him today. He was pumped up after that goal. There's a previous occasion prior to that mark and lead where he didn't lead. The instructions obviously went out to get on the move. He did get on the move. And you can see here, once again, he was in a position where he was underneath the ball and he got a free kick. The free kick was certainly there. Young Phil Davis, slightly inexperienced, grabbed him around the Guernsey, and obviously a free kick.
James Seller with 2 in the quarter. Byron Murphy, the other player for the Tigers, with 2. And then on the other side of the ledger, all singles, all 5 single goals for the Roosters, who I must say, they just haven't looked effective at times, and maybe the stats reflect that.
Certainly do. If you have a look at the inside 50s, a massive difference there. 28 to 12. 12 inside 50s is not enough at half-time to win a game of football. You need to be aiming around that 50 mark. That's where Glenelg are heading. They'll get the ball inside their forward 50 times. It should give them enough opportunities. Obviously, you would expect the dominance continues in terms of the centre breaks. Glenelg certainly pushing the ball forward and having a lot of the ball in the first half.
Big weekend, of course, of SANFL football, and the full round today looks like this, with Centrals over Westies, who are super competitive this season, you must say, just by 6 points at half-time. Port by 15 points over the Panthers. I'm a little surprised by that, actually.
Well, no, I'm not. If Port don't win today, they might as well give up and go home for the whole season.
Maybe they'll pack it in all the... No, they won't do that. And Sturt by 31 over the Eagles, so the Eagles may have finally hit the wall, the young side that's been put out by Ronnie Fuller this season.
Yeah, I think Ronnie's done a great job, but they will have a lot of young players, as you said there, Neil, so there might be a few peaks and troughs this season if you're an Eagles supporter.
Let's go back to this game. Bays need to, both sides need to find something up forward. The Bays found James Seller in that quarter. John Reid from the Adelaide Football Club would be most impressed at his efforts.
Well, he's certainly here having a look at the 2 young players, and they're at one end of the ground. One is by the name of James Seller, the other one Phil Davis, and I think he'd be pretty happy what he's seeing at the moment. The Crows certainly lacking a tall forward, and as you correctly put to me, Crossy, they're lacking a forward. So I think they'll be happy what they're seeing so far.
Certainly Phil Davis developing, but they signed him, and they were a big rap for him. They were very happy to secure his services, but look, at James Seller is ready-made at the moment. So let's just go down to Sodas on the boundary line, and Toby Stribling, very good for the Roosters in terms of at least collecting possessions through the midfield, Sodas.
Yeah, he's been pretty handy. He did get that knock just before half-time into the rooms there. He's okay. They said he's a little tender. We can just have a look at the replay there. He's pulled up a little bit sore. The leg didn't come up too well, but he's okay. He's had a few moments downstairs. They've just checked everything out, so no problems whatsoever for him. The other injuries are all okay. The only real little bit of controversy, of course, we've had was the Todd Grimer report in that first term, where we believe, now we can't confirm this, but we do believe it might be a racial vilification type issue. So Todd Grimer could find himself in a fair bit of trouble this week, but cannot confirm that. The umpires are very tight-lipped.
Thanks for that, Sodas. As we just look to what's coming up in SANFL footy, Friday night, very interesting clash. Norwood coming off a 3-point loss to Centrals, and of course then the bye. And they play Glenelg under lights on the Friday night. Then Sturt against the Panthers, our match of the day at the Unley Oval on ABC1. And Westies against the Eagles. And as we suggested, Westies super competitive. The Eagles, a young side that's struggling against Sturt this afternoon. And then Centrals and Port at Elizabeth at 6:30 on the Saturday night. North Adelaide has the bye, and then the state game to consider their form this afternoon as they go into the second half trailing by 7 points. Here's Michael Money.
They certainly do, and well, Glenelg starting to get their game together in that second quarter. You would have thought that's what they're after. The footy in the centre. Allen on Allen. Ackland went a little early, and the timing was good from Cranston to Ty Allen to Murphy. They're on the march. Holmes can kick it long. He kicks a wobbler, and it goes to Grimer, and he can't take the mark. Oh, surely a free kick will go to Kirkby. No. Well, he had his man in McIntyre.
Well, I agree with you there, Michael. That was holding the ball in the AFL. That is given every day of the week. You can see there, McIntyre looked up, had nowhere to go, so he just hung on to the ball.
Uni working out to James Allen, who flicked it over to Stribling, and James Allen physically ill at half-time. We saw that outside the change room. Stribling got it to Damon White. Damon White kicks it long, but judging it and using his body so well was the captain of Glenelg in Ben Mules, who spreads it to Danny Meyer, who kicks long to the lead of Seller, and that'll please John Reid. Getting out on a lead. Working that lead is Armstrong. Ruwalt, he'll want to draw Armstrong to him, then just sells him the pup and then goes with Meyer. Meyer, got around okay, wanted his right boot. That's going to hit grass. At the back, McIntyre needed to release to Ackland and then back to Wright. So North Adelaide just with possession at the moment. Damon White finds Stribling, who's running pretty well on top of the ground at the moment.
North Adelaide just lacking confidence to move the ball quickly. Every time they get it, they want to push the ball wide, go via the wings. They do try to switch the ball similar to Central Districts in the back half, but the difference between Centrals and North is Centrals move the ball very quickly. North Adelaide very slow to move the ball.
They go to centre wing. It comes off the hands of Gill. Cunningham at the front. Fisher roved it well. Off to Allen. Allen to the goal square to Seller. Coming across was White to knock it away. McIntyre overran it. Seller got it across the boundary line, and the applause and congratulations from his teammates for that little effort. Andrew McIntyre was seen here just overrunning the ball. Pulled out of the state squad this week because of law exams. He's got to go through those, and the timing just wasn't right for him. Armstrong for Alloway. He's been a strong lead-up target, but he hasn't seen a lot of the ball this afternoon, Clint Alloway. Down the line he goes and high. Nobody behind this pack of players. All over the boundary line. Nobody in the forward 50 arc for North Adelaide at the moment.
It's amazing. Start of the third quarter, and the Glenelg are only 7 points up. They've had 15 scoring shots to North Adelaide 8, and they've kicked 10 points. Glenelg 5-10 to North 5-3.
Fisher working hard, got it to Byron Murphy, who started the game off brilliantly, and this man's been consistent all day, Damon White, and he thumps that ball to the line, and a boundary throw in. A lot of authority with the punch from Damon White. Kirkby and Damon White matched up. That Clark-Backwell matchup is still there. Trevor Cranston with a hit out with his boot. And Murphy's over the top of Wright, just over his shoulder, but the umpire on the blind side of that. Is that a tap out or a kick out?
Oh, no. Does he get a stat as a kick then, or does he get a stat as a hit out?
Oh, I'd say it's a kick. We'll probably never know. In goes James Allen. Ian Mogridge might be better to our statistician. Ian, was that a knockout or a kick?
I didn't give him anything, but he's had 7 possessions to Ackland's 2, as well as probably winning the hit-outs as well.
Good answer, Ian. Up goes Fisher, third man up. James Allen. Ty Allen for Glenelg. Backwell. Quick hands, Meyer. This has got some hang time. That's a Gary Owen. Up goes Murphy. Always busy. Ty Allen got it back from Meyer and dispensed with by Damon White. And in the clinches, the ball caught in. Chris Hall at the bottom of that also with Damon White, a ball up.
You get Damon White 10 out of 10 for Endeavour thus far in the game. Saw some of his defensive skills with a punch, as Michael Marnie called it, but you can see there hustling and bustling on the ground.
Murphy to the goal square. It's 2-on-2, and Seller just manhandled his opponent, Davis. So Phil Davis will take the free kick, and they immediately switch it. And the problem here for Motlop is he's got no real long options available, and Pinozzo comes over the back. He was the spare for Glenelg, just doing the roving at the back of the pack.
You can see Pinozzo.
Argument for a free kick there,
certainly
too.
was. Into his back. Very lucky.
Gill. He sort of palmed it down. He had the look that he wanted to actually just take that out of the contest, but in the end he's got a free kick. Stribling.
He was manhandled off the ball by Fisher. Just dragged him to the ground.
Stribling to half forward. There's room to run onto the ball for Clark, but he's surrounded by Tigers. He gets the ball forward to Stewart, and here's a goal coming up for North Adelaide against the play, I reckon.
Well, you're spot on there. And for the second time today, we've seen North go through the corridor, get the ball inside the corridor. You can see here, it was a risky kick. Clark only had a 50-50 situation. He was good enough and quick enough to get on the end of the play and then dish it off to Stewart. But if you go through the corridor, well, you've got half a chance of actually scoring. They've got 3 tall players up there in Alloway, Gill and Stewart. Why wouldn't you go through the corridor? It's the quickest way home.
Well, it was 1-on-3. I reckon it was about a 25% opportunity for Clark then, but he made the most of it.
Showed a lot of pace, David Clark, and the handball was terrific. James Allen, and young Teely's got to sit under this and took the medicine that came to him too. Cranston, Uni, opportunity, well done Ackland. Not the kick, bouncing ball, might be okay for Alloway. Measured handball to Armstrong, he off stick, has kicked a wonderful goal. They've strung a couple together, North Adelaide, and they hit the lead by 5.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, that they are in front. Glenelg have had all the play. North with 2 quick goals. Once again, the ball's in the corridor. Ugly kick, but Alloway's good enough. And that is a beautiful kick off of 1 step. You can see Armstrong, that isn't easy to do. He had his momentum going to the left. He didn't go to his left foot. Preferred to use his right foot, his preferred foot, and obviously scored a goal. Beautiful play.
So 2 in a row for North Adelaide. They take back a 5-point lead. Opportunity briefly to clear the ball. Now good hand pass by Allen, and then Stribling, and then running for him is Ackland. The big guy opposed to the little guy in Holmes, who brought him to the ground. Ackland back to Stribling again. Uni dives in. Ball came out the Bay's way. Panozzo drops it in short. Fisher will run onto it. He's got plenty of room in front of him. Thompson closes. Kick was away. Seller got rid of his man and took a nice mark in those shallow pockets. Wait on James Seller, had a look around. Is this the I'm pretending to look around, I really want to have a shot at goal look?
I think it was.
Settles over the ball. 2 goals to his name already this afternoon, and a chance to take back the lead for the Bays. And he wasn't happy. The kick straight off the boot, through for the minor score, and all he's done is reduce the margin by 1.
Well, James Seller is proving a handful for Davis. Maybe time for Daniel Healy to make a change there. The young fella in Davis certainly hasn't played a lot of footy at this level. Sellers has played a bit more. And he's getting on top of him.
Marlon Motlop. And he's made a real meal of this. And Uni goes to the line. And just a bit of confusion. And John Hinge having a crack at Marlon Motlop. And Cunningham comes in. He's had his moments. Damien Cunningham. Over the top. Davis. Kirkby snaps. Left footer. It's floating through. Oh, that's a wonderful kick from Rory Kirkby for his second.
That's an extremely talented kick there. Beautiful kick. You can see the replay. He didn't panic and he didn't blaze away. He went for the drop punt. He just pulled the kick slightly just to get enough air to get over the North Adelaide player that was in front of him. But it was just great composure.
Centre breaks 10-3 in favour of Glenelg, and they're going to pick up another one. Backwell being held. Surprise, surprise. And as you suggest, it was Clark. It's the 3rd or 4th free kick we've seen basically off the ball. Hinge at the front. Murphy at the back. He'll give it to Seller. Seller will turn himself inside out. Tried to handball to Allen across the line in the right forward pocket for the Bays. Just not quite the hand pass that Seller was looking for.
No, certainly the ball hung in the air too long. Didn't give Seller an opportunity to take the ball quickly and get it on the boot.
Gill in the ruck. I wouldn't call that an effective tap down. It went straight to an opposition player in Kirkby. Now Ackland and Gill both going at it. They got it to Allen. To Motlop. Has to be good with this kick, and he was. Alloway. Might have been Armstrong who gave up that kick. It was. So now Alloway looks down the line. Stewart on the lead. Strong hands. A good contest coming from Lee Bell. And now they're stuck again, though. They'll wait for Alloway to run down the ground, provide the next contest. They don't go to him, they go down the line. And as it was, that's not a bad result for North Adelaide.
Now, you often wonder, with coaches that have come out of the AFL, if they are somewhat preoccupied by possession football, and maintaining possession instead of using the easiest route home, which is basically through the corridor. They tend to play along the wings, similar to what I suppose Port Power do.
Bays by 2 points. Ruwald caught by Armstrong. Ball held to him. And umpire Tony Day says, give it to me. In the pretty Red Sox Ladies' Day in the SANFL today. Mother's Day tomorrow. And Ackland. Cranston working hard. And another ball up. Nick Gill, just the one kick so far in the match. Kirk out of the ruck, quick hands. Pinozzo threaded it nicely to Meyer. Meyer kicks long, and Grimer got up in the middle of the pack and give away a free kick. You could see him with his eyes on the footy and just stumbled and bumbled his way and give away a free kick. Damon White. Marlon the Magician from half back. Stribbling needs to get on his bike. Seller can't get there. Stribbling's kick is a wonderful kick to Ryswick, who hasn't really had much of the football. Ryswick held onto it, then kicked down the line to Gill and can't take the mark. Kirk's done okay on him. Lee Belt first there. Handball back, Pinozzo, corralled by Thompson. Kirk over the top. Ruwalt to Kane, good pace. Mules, the skipper. Wrong foot's Ryswick. Uses Holmes. Oh, cleverly knocked it back for Hinge. Hinge all caught with the football. Allen paddle to Holmes. So good pressure by both teams. Kane hoists it high. Sellers 2-on-1 in the middle of this. Seller can't get it. Where's the crumb? Seller did okay, but Davis was smart. Back away to Uni, and there's a loose man on the wing, Neil.
Indeed there is. He's got a couple to choose from. He chose to go down the line to right. He had Ryswick available inside right. Now will be supported by Ryswick if he can get a handle. He does. And now he's going to have a snap. And he's going to spray it across the goals and miss everything.
Talented player, right? Tried to do a bit too much there. Out of play, could have dished the ball off to in Ryswick. Chose the second option, which was to do it himself. Just kick the ball out of bounds on the full.
Liebelt drops it short to his skipper and Mules. Mules in turn just to Murphy in the corridor. Dangerous kick, but he got away with it. Now Murphy will slow things down. On this side of the ground, Myers running for him, indicating give it to me. He'll go to Meyer, who can go over the top for Pinozzo. Alloway with some good pressure. Meyer runs away. He looks up and Hinge gives him a lead. He opts to go by hand to Liebelt. Now they're in a bit of trouble. They get around somehow. Here's Meyer again. Good running by Kane. And now Holmes, and he's taken down high. And that's Clark giving away the free kick. So watch for Backwell. And there was Backwell. And Backwell goes long inside forward 50. Davis with the punch away. It'll go out of bounds. And how's that, Rob? Backwell knows that Clark's tagging him, so as soon as Clark made the offence, I was sure that Brett Backwell was looking for a handoff there somewhere.
Well, he's a smart player. He knows how to get on the end of the ball. You don't win McGarry medals without being smart.
Speaking of McGarry medals, James Allen couldn't get it. Goes back to Kane. Kane might win a McGarry one day. In goes O'Grady. Handball over the top. He was dealt with as he got rid of it. He was. And I've got to push Richard O'Grady. I like his attack on the football, this bloke. It was all right for them in the Anzac Day debacle at the Adelaide Oval. And he's just outside 50. Well, he's pretty confident, this bloke. Daniel Kirk's dropped into a hole, and that's a good get. Because Daniel Kirk was on his own there for about 10 seconds, and that's all it takes in this game of footy. And he used it well, did O'Grady.
Well, I don't know what odds you'd put on Daniel Kirk from this distance.
Well, he kicked 4 goals in the grand final. Daniel Kirk, or a couple early, or first couple of goals or something. We know he can kick a goal, but this will take his best work. No breeze to contend with from right on 50, so they know this ground, do the Bays. And Daniel Kirk from right on the paint of 50, and he's got a lot of elevation with that, one would have to say. Big pack flies, no one can take the mark. Oh, Stribbling got one around the neck and wasn't paid it. Fisher was the man with the tackle, and a ball up just 15 metres from the Glenelg goal. Couple of men down. Fisher had a fresh airy. back in after it again, dribbling over the top, stole the footy from him, then wanted to deliver to Motlop, drew the man Armstrong. Armstrong wants to backpedal, gives it back to Motlop. Oh, this is a little bit of Russian roulette there. He's taken by Ruwalt. He slipped it to Kirkby, and then back to Mills, Holmes, Meyer in all sorts of trouble. Goodness sakes, someone kick it, said the crowd. Panozzo's on the end of it. Here it is. They should roar. Panozzo finally kicked the footy. Up it goes. Grimer's there, thumped away by Armstrong. Close to the line, Ruwalt. Goodness me, 95 handles, and the smoke coming off the stats pen of Ian Mogridge. We couldn't see his face for smoke.
This quarter, Glenelg have had 23 kicks and 38 handballs.
Fisher to Backwell. Kane. They're forced backward by the number of players ahead of the ball just now. There's nobody behind Panozzo as he sweeps the ball infield, takes a couple of bounces, waits on Sella, but instead just goes longer for Kirkby. Now Allen and Backwell. He slipped his tag just for a moment. Hand pass was out to O'Grady, who somehow gave it to Allen. And now they've found a bit of space. Kirkby, but he was on his wrong leg. Had to give it up to Allen. He wants to handball. Taken to ground. Is that holding the ball? No. Frustration on the face of the spectators there.
Well, the reason why Glenelg can't kick the ball, because every time they get their hands on it, there's a North Adelaide player there ready to tackle.
Which, when you've got basically, well, at one stage it was 17 players in that defensive arc, it ain't easy to find space.
No, it's not.
Cranston, White intercepted. Uni knew he wanted to go to Stribling. Stribling has nobody that he can get long except for Sloane. It's 2-on-1 though. Kane keeps it in. Sloane comes in, and that's a good result. That's well fought out by Rory Sloane, the blonde-haired lad.
Can you see a bit of Central District about the North Adelaide game plan, Rob, or is it?
I can see they're trying to play a similar style of play by switching the ball, but they're just moving the ball way too slow.
Yeah. High kick. Oh, White takes a lovely mark. Damon White to McIntyre. Away to Motlop. Switching, looking for Armstrong, who's got to do some work, and was good enough. Letting him go was John Hinge. Well, who's he got to kick to? Daniel Stewart's given him something on the wing. He's kicked it out in front. Let's have a look at the tentacles. Up they went. They'll get a free kick against Mules. He's got a bit of hands in the back or forearms in the back. Doesn't really matter whether it's hands or forearms, I'll still pay it. Stewart's kick hugs the line. Ryswick, one grab, can't get to. Oh, ball stayed in. Taken by Pfeiffer. Good boundary umpiring. Pfeiffer inside 50 has made a meal of the kick.
And that's the problem. If you're going to play the wings like North Adelaide are, and you persist with that style of play, taking the ball along the boundary line, you're going to take a lot of shots from that type of area, and it obviously makes it a lot more difficult to score goals.
1 point game again as the Bays get it to centre wing. Kirkby ahead of the play. Inboard, he's got O'Grady to go to. Just left it up a bit high. Punched away by Davis. And then Sloane came in, gave it back to Davis. Nicely done, Miller. And then Stribling running. And he's got open territory and got a good shepherd from Uni. Down to half forward, Gill. Stretch those hamstrings out. Gill's got two players available in the corridor. And he chooses to go wide to Allen, who can play on. Acute angle, as we know, not a very, very deep pocket. And Allen drills a goal and puts his side back in front.
Well, you can see a North Adelaide supporter happy there, cheering on his team. But if you're a Glenelg supporter, you'd be pretty disappointed with that passage of play. North Adelaide took the ball wide again, continue to persist with taking the ball outside the corridor. Gill gets on the end of it. Allen keeps running, as he always does. And this is what would be frustrating Mark Micken. Not one Glenelg player approaches him, and he just waltzes into an open goal. You can see Panozzo there, but he wasn't the only Glenelg player. None of the Glenelg players ran at Allen.
Liebelt was the other player, was just standing there. I think he's out of gas, out of petrol tickets.
11 and 6 for James Allen today.
But all right, Uni's been okay. Stribling, good tackle, stuck it. Hall follows up with another tackle, not rewarded. Didn't have prior, said Sam Hay.
Beautiful tackle by Chris Hall. You can see there didn't go forward in the tackle, dropped his knees and made Stribling come back, so he didn't give a free kick away. 47-52, Mark Micken would be pulling what hair he has left out because his side has dominated in terms of possessions, but just not being effective on the scoreboard.
Miller to Uni. Back to Davis, who finds Sloan. Sloan to Stribling. Been to the same hairdresser, those two. Taken by Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer's kick, a scrubber. Mills did well. Hall, wait, delivered. Ruwalt's got Chris Kane and then missed everything, but it might be okay to Kirkby. And that was a horrible situation for Kirkby. It came off his boot. Ends up with Stribling. Stribling's got Stewart in space. Can he get around on that left boot? He wants it. Stewart knocked off the kick legally. Armstrong from behind. Can't take the mark. Crumbs. Beautiful handball. Out. Marlon Mocklot. Oh, so easy. Around the corner. Marlon Mocklot. Why did he go for the screwy around the corner? Could have straightened up and kicked a drop punt.
Spot on there, Michael. Poor passage of play. Poor power. Selectors wouldn't be happy with that. He also had Clinton Alloway, who was sitting in the goal square screaming for the ball. Could have just dished over a handball. Chose not to. Made a simple mistake.
Now it's the Bays' turn to wax at the back. Just taking their time.
Have a kick, thanks. Have a kick.
Meyer just being told have a kick. He's finally called to play on. Eventually goes wide for Panozzo. Pulls it in maybe a metre from the line. So the Bays slowing things down. Good mark. Well taken by Kirk. Quickly off to Mules. Now they try and work it quickly through the corridor. They have some runners. It's Holmes. Holmes looks up long, goes for Hinge. Hinge puts some pressure on and then takes the mark. Off he goes to Kane. This is Ben Kane. He sits it up. That's not a bad kick. Seller won't make it. Chris Kane almost does. Armstrong flicks it wide for Stribling. Kept it in front of him pretty well. Hand pass was low by Uni. Stribling gives it up. Chris Kane. Hall. Great vision. Inside 50. Ruwalt. Ruwalt finishes it. Bays back in front. No. Scores level. Try that again.
Well, you can see Ruwalt there looking to the heavens after he kicked that goal, saying, thank you very much, big fella upstairs. Finally, we've actually kicked one straight. You can see Chris Hall here. Kane in the play. Hall smart over the top. Ruwalt didn't hesitate, didn't deviate off the line, ran straight at the goals and kicked a goal. And finally, Glenelg kick a goal after having all of the play, having very poor foot skills when they go inside forward 50. On that occasion, they finally deliver.
He'd have been nervous having that shot for goal too after booting 3-7 for the year. But never looked like missing Mark Ruwalt. And wonderful running goal. Scores are level. It's been level a few times. Neil, have you been keeping stats on how many times scores have been level? It's probably at least half a dozen. 3?
Only 3 times the scores have been level. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lead changes.
Yeah, it's been more to the point. The ball beats Ryswick out of play. And Ryswick playing interesting role, just playing mostly up forward, hasn't been out on the wing.
No, he has been playing up forward, and like you said there, I reckon that it is interesting that he is playing up forward because he is a very quick runner and he does cover the ground well, and he has a big engine, so you'd like to see him in the midfield on the wing or across half-back line.
Yeah, he can break the lines, that's for sure. Chris Hall.
Just 5 possessions today for Ryswick.
Thanks, Moggy. Hall's kick down the line. Chris Kane can't keep it in. Marlon Mocklop there with him, and Bandry throw in, about to tick into 25 minutes in the third term. And scores are locked away, 53 apiece, a far cry from the 40 goals that they kicked last time down here. It's 15 so far in the match. Holmes, Scragged, Ben Kane, Backwell. Guess who's with him? Clark, well done. O'Grady, spear. Cranston from 35 directly in front. Wonderful kick.
Well, I firmly believe if Glenelg can just be a little bit more composed and use the ball like they did on that occasion going forward and hit a few targets, that they'll blow this game wide open.
Big Trev in game 101 has booted 1 straight for the season. Is he going to work it back? He's 100%. They lead by 6.
It's the value of having a big man in your team that has got multifacets to his game. You can push him forward and he can kick a goal. You can see Backwell there being closely tagged by Clark. He was good enough to get the ball forward, and Cranston led well, marked strongly, and from a reasonably simple length kicked a nice goal. Cranston having a spell out of the ruck, being pushed forward. Sellers goes into the ruck, so that leaves Davis to stand on Cranston.
Cranston was the Players' Player of the Year last season here at the Bay. Very popular for all his hard work in the ruck. He's right with some hard work. We'll get another ball up.
Backwell might have been tagged, but he still had 21 possessions today, which is only equalled by Marlon Motlock.
Seller being given a run in the ruck. A very short run as it turned out. And at three-quarter time, it remains up for grabs this match. It's Glenelg by 6 points. 8-11-59, North Adelaide 8-5-53, and Rob, it's gone in fits and starts.
It certainly has. Glenelg had the majority of the play early in that third quarter, and they were quite disappointing in the way they went forward. I thought they dominated in terms of possessions. They were all over North Adelaide, and they looked like they were going to blow the game apart. But unfortunately, when they went forward, they just miskicked, missed handballs, and they were quite ugly when they went forward. Then North Adelaide kicked 2 quick goals to push themselves back into the lead, and then Glenelg, just prior to the siren, obviously finished with 2 passages of play, which resulted in 2 goals.
We just look through what happened in the third quarter, and as we see here, this is one of the risks that they took, North Adelaide, and was a rarity to take this sort of risk, and they were rewarded.
Well, we spoke a lot about North Adelaide playing on the boundary line and playing through the wings, and it hasn't been effective. On the odd occasion, like we see first time with Clark and then this time with Ackland to Alloway, that they did go through the corridor, they scored quickly and they scored 2 quick goals. It's the quickest way home. They need to use the corridor a lot more.
So goals at the 5 and 6 minute mark gave them the lead, and then Glenelg snatched it back at the 9 minute mark, and now here's Stribling setting up another foray forward, and Gill goes wide. I think it was Allen who ends up kicking this goal, and it is, and scores, or the lead changes again, and all of a sudden you think, well, North Adelaide's got the momentum, but it never seems to last.
No, it's because they do play wide. They don't score quick enough to do any real damage. They can score 2 or 3 goals, but then you see that Glenelg get hold of the ball like they have for most of the day. And finally, Ruwald finishes with a nice kick going forward. Finally, a little bit of composure and good skill level going forward. Another one here, Clark on Backwell. Nice tackle. Cranston on the end of a beautiful pass and finishes with a goal.
Trevor Cranston just crept it in there, but he keeps his perfect record. 2 goals from two shots on goal for the season. And so we have at three-quarter time a very interesting contest that could go either way. 8-11 for the Tigers and 8-5 for the Roosters. As we look through Murphy, Kirkby and Seller, the multiple goal scorers there for the Tigers, and for the Roosters, Daniel Stewart up forward with a couple, and Vering too, one from a big mark and one, of course, we saw on the run there from 25 metres out. So they've got some variety. The Roosters isn't enough to win.
If we have a look at the stats, we've been harping on it all day about the inside 50s. You can see Glenelg there dominating in terms of possessions, 246 possessions, but their inside 50s are just dominant compared to North Adelaide. 18 inside 50s, North Adelaide, and it's strange that with that very, very low amount of inside 50s that they're still in the game.
We're going to change tack, well, slightly. Of course, North Adelaide playing this afternoon gives us a chance to talk about the passing of Michael Parsons, North Adelaide premiership player. He died last month after a brain tumour. And Michael Parsons, a great player for North Adelaide. Of course, he played basketball in the NBL competition before he ever got picked up by Michael Noonan, who made him into a footballer, I guess, at North Adelaide. He played in 2 premierships there and, of course, with the Sydney Swans as well.
Yeah, look, I had the good fortune of playing against Michael, and he certainly was a big man, and he's a very talented athlete, full stop, and it's obviously a very sad occasion for his family and friends.
Yeah, so it is a very, very sad occasion, and of course that was, it's still in the mind because it's only some few weeks ago that it happened.
Yeah, it certainly was, and the boys have had a bit of a get-together. Joining me now is former North Adelaide vice-captain, double premiership player, 300-odd games. You mightn't recognise him because he's channeling Bob Trimboli at the moment, but David Sanders here now. The boys did get together and have a chance just to, well, have a good think about Big Bristles last night.
It was a magnificent night. I've travelled down from Brisbane and a few boys travelled from all over the joint. Besides the fact of his footy career and whatever else, Bristol was just a great bloke, and it was very sobering last night. But you know, I think we sent him off pretty well, hopefully.
And David, of course, as a very talented athlete, he's a very handy basketballer before Mick Noonan got hold of him.
Apparently, yes, Al Green rolled up last night, which was quite interesting. But you know, Michael Parsons is a well, you know, it's all very sad, but he was an extreme athlete. And 87, Michael Noonan last night spoke about the golden moments of life and his moment of genius. 87 was his moment of genius.
Certainly was. And from that year, I think it was 6 goals in the grand final. Jack Odie medal got, well, certainly attracted the attention of the Sydney boys.
It did. I think after 87 he left to go to Sydney, but that 87 game, it's great with all the Glenelg boys today and the North boys, and we had a great tradition and a great rivalry, and it's great watching the two sides go around today.
And after his time there, he came back, of course, and 91 was a pretty impressive year for you boys as well. There are some familiar faces floating around there. Who are some of the boys that have been able to front up and go again today?
Well, we did have a big night last night in the true Bristol tradition, but you know, Peter Krieg and Michael Redden and Stephen Sims, who is still with us, and he's had a great job today. But there's a lot of people, and even the Glenelg blokes. I mean, a lot of these guys we never really socialised with. Things were different back in the 80s, and I mean, there were great times at 85, 86, 87 trio of premierships or grand finals, 2 to them, 1 to us, and it's been great today. Really impressive.
You had a bit of time to talk about Michael and everything over those past few days. Are the stories getting a little bit longer, David?
Well, I'm soon to take a mark and lay a tackle, apparently. I'm not far off. No, I mean, I don't know. It's very sobering. We had a moment this morning on the SANFL jetty and put his ashes in the sea and whatever else, and it's I don't know. He's too young, I think, to die and all that sort of stuff. But it's been very good for the side to get together again. They were tight times, and the guys, even though we don't see each other much, are very close. And it's been great with the Glenelg guys here as well today, because you know we're all getting older, but you know we shared a bit of history, I think.
Well, it's a good point. You should mention that Glenelg, of course, hosting the day up here too as well. It
was magnificent. They put this on. I mean, I'm from Brisbane. I don't really follow footy much anymore, but I was ecstatic that this whole thing panned out the way it did, in the sense we could spend some time with the other guys. And I love watching this footy. It's miles ahead of AFL for mine in terms of it's not as contrived, not as sterile. It's great. I love watching the game.
Good on you, Sheep. Lovely to see you here. Enjoy the rest of the day with the boys. Take it easy on the sauce, and we'll all remember Bristles very fondly. Here's the final turn with Michael Maney.
Thanks, Mark. I might see if I can suss out a shop and get one of those hats. Very good. It's a perler.
He mentioned his nickname was Sheep, and that was because he had the big woolly flowing hair back in his day. It's quite different these days, isn't it, for David Sanders?
Yes, he's much left and covering up whatever he has got. Last quarter. Can North Adelaide stick it all the way? Good tackle by Fisher on Uni. And a secondary ball up.
I better apologise straight away to Luke Panozzo, who's actually leads the game with 24 possessions.
Well, if he gets hold of the tape, Moggy, he'll be happy with that. And another ball up in the centre. So 59 plays 53. And Byron Murphy is throwing the ball back to the umpire. Cranston down. Ty Allen just couldn't get the hands free. And in goes Kane Ackland. And another ball up. So we're going for a world record. See if we can get 8 ball ups in space of 60 seconds. In goes Cranston. No, he's put the mockers on that. Cranston's wobbly ball. Well done, White. Attacked the footy. Handball over the top. Not breaking stride, was dribbling. And he's got plenty of pace. He kicks low, looking for Alloway. Free kick against Mills in the back. And Wade Thompson will be the man to give it back. And Clint Alloway hasn't had a marked influence on the game, but he's been a good lead-up player. Play on, said the umpire. Alloway got it back, inside 50. He's a booming kick. Gills there in the middle. Ball bounces. Oh, here's Roswick. Over the shoulder. Wonderful kick. That's why he's playing up forward, Rob Plum.
Obviously, the coach knows better. They needed somebody to spark, and maybe it'll be Roswick. You can see Clinton Alloway started with the ball, kicked to right. The umpire said play on, wasn't 15. Booted the ball long. And just watch Ben Mules here. Just can't quite get his finger on the ball. As a result, Lee Roswick capitalises and makes the most of his opportunity and kicks a much-needed goal for the North Adelaide.
Scores level yet again. Ackland with the tap down. Cranston with the takeaway for the second time in the quarter. White with the mark. They haven't been tempted to send him forward like they did last week. And he kicked 4 in the final quarter. Motlop has room just to pull it in. Interesting hand pass. Look out, Clark. Clark's gone. There's a play on advantage it is, and guess who? Backwell got it forward. And then it went to Fisher, and Fisher kicks the minus score. Now he played on to advantage then because Hinge was knocked over. Fisher kicked the minus score. Ball didn't come back.
Fisher had a player in Ruwalk screaming for the ball in the corridor. Could have dished the ball off. Chose not to. Kicked a point.
Motlop looks for Ackland in the pack. Loose ball. Well done, James Allen. Clark. Tearley. Oh, Wade Thompson was waiting for the ball to float over his head, and then all of a sudden realising in the marking contest. Couldn't take the mark. Pinozzo. Working hard was Ben Kane. Pinozzo. Awkward bounce. Thompson with a tackle takes him to the line. Good effort by Wade Thompson to collar Pinozzo, and a boundary throw-in.
I reckon as much as North Adelaide supporters would be frustrated watching North continuously going wide, the Glenelg supporters would be just as frustrated watching the ball handling skills of the Glenelg players today.
Yeah, just haven't been on top of their game. A very slow start for last year's runner-up in the SANFL competition. Umpire Ralston. A lot of players around the footy. Cranston and Ackland. Ackland with a left-hander, Lee Belt. Back to Murphy, and he'll get a free kick, Lee Belt, for a push.
Right there, Duke.
Looks midfield, straight away to Ben Kane. Alloway quickly on the mark. Kane can spread it. They've got runners, and of course again, North Adelaide have pushed into defence, so nobody behind that group of players. The ball went long, and Grimer took a sensational back mark.
Well, it's about his 4th attempt at taking a screamer today. Previous 3 occasions haven't been too successful. He's given away a few free kicks. You can see there, even that could have been a free kick. Did have his hand in the back of Davis. Umpire obviously couldn't see it. Took a nice mark.
54 goals last season in the minor round, 7 thus far this season, and that's his first of the afternoon. And the Bays creep away to a 7-point margin.
We can see the difference in play. Glenelg started with the ball wide, trying to use the corridor. Ben Mules, no. But time is ticking. Kicks the ball long into the forward lines. Grimer hasn't been superb in the air today. He's jumped early a lot, but that time he did time his jump. Got on the end of it, finished with a nice goal. Glenelg go to 9-12-66, North 9-5-59.
Booted 3 last week, Todd Grimer. His first of the afternoon. Ackland working hard, but Cranston with another clearance. He is gold, that bloke, I tell you. Big pack. No one can take the mark. Here's Hinge. Round the body. Bouncing, bouncing, bouncing through. 13 points the difference. And the Bays are looking ominous.
We can just see the value of getting the ball forward quickly out of the centre square. Glenelg dominating in terms of centre breaks. They have all day. Push the ball to a contest. North Adelaide have no choice but to punch the ball, but the Glenelg Crummers are good enough to get front and square and get inside their players. You can see on that occasion it's Hinge finished with a nice goal.
Trevor Cranston with 3 centre clearances in this quarter thus far. Game high margin, 13 points in favour of the Bays. Allen and Allen come together.
Thanks, Ty. Thanks. Cheers. All good.
Get the secondary bounce, or throw up it'll be, from Colin Ralston. Cranston knocks it forward. Jimmy Allen from the Roosters takes it away. Thompson. They won't catch him. Well, they gave it to Motlop. Motlop skirting the boundary, squares it up. Contest in the goal square, Gill, and Kirk did well. Got it to the front. Mills a rare possession. Allen and Meyer and Kirk work it. And he takes his time, Kirk, and then thumps it long and straight to right.
Kirk was waiting for his forwards to present up the ground. He had nothing to kick to. That's why Wright ended up with the ball.
Deep inside, forward 50 it goes again for the Roosters. Came out to Fisher. Allen wanted to clear it as quick as he could. It'll come back through Wright again. Wright gets around one. Straightens up from 70. Almost found Gill. Not to be now. Alloway squares it around. He had a player in the goal square in Ryswick and Uni as well, and he missed everybody and everything.
I think his eyes were a bit high. I think, Rob.
They certainly were. North have had a few opportunities to actually just find the free man in the goal square today. They haven't taken those opportunities.
It's been pretty good defence by the Bays, you'd have to say. Panozzo will kick to a pack situation, and here's Grima! Oh, it would have brought the house down. Had a good run at it too. Well done, Holmes. Looking for Grima. Fends off. Did okay. Handball back. Found Holmes. Holmes. Handball to Kane, who was in trouble. That was Ben. Away to Ruwalt. To Murphy, I should say. Murphy over the back. Davis knocked. Wanted the line. Damon White. Can he keep it in? He was out. Ball was in. Well done. Kicks long. Looking for Clark. And he takes the mark. David Clark had Allen in James variety. Then went in short and found a bit of grass. Taken by Thompson. Thompson out to McIntyre. McIntyre on the wing. Just holds up play. Didn't have a free man. But this is where the Bays can get back and man up. And he's taken an eternity, Andrew McIntyre, to kick to a pack. And here comes Gill. He can't take the mark. Got a hand on it. In goes right. Pack develops. And just take us back to the McIntyre one. Let's have a look at the Grima leap.
Well, he certainly had his eyes on the ball. Watch this. Straight through the hands, straight into the eyes. Smacked him right in the face.
Might need some contact lenses or something. Perhaps a trip to the optometrist. Now, Gill chases Kane. He was never going to catch him, but it must have been perceived pressure because Cunningham intercepts what was ultimately a pretty poor kick. He can come this side of the ground. He's got a couple available. Instead, he pokes the kick over the top. Stribbling. Around one, takes off, confident enough to have a bounce. They're trying to work their way forward as best they can. Thompson's kick off the outer part of his boot towards Motlop, and Chris Kane dropped it. Kane Ackland didn't. And now Matty Wright inside 50, Ryswick. Suddenly a hush comes over the Bay crowd. It was like joyous celebrations just about at one stage as they extended their lead to 13 points. On the back of goals to Grima and Hinge at the 4 and 5 minute marks. And now Lee Ryswick. Starts it right, stays right. Bay fans happy again.
Well, Daniel Healy has persisted with Lee Ryswick in the forward line all day today. We do know that he is a very good wingman. Plays well in the midfield, does play well across half-back due to his running ability. Kicked one earlier in the quarter, but not to be that time.
Up goes Kirk and takes the mark. For Ryswick to be a success there, he needs to kick those goals. You don't get too many kicks on Starvation Corner on the flank, and well done by Damon White.
Geez, he's been good this game, Damon White.
He has.
8 marks, 19 possessions.
Yeah, well, he's taken on the skipper's role and really bringing out the best in him. High ball, up goes Alloway. Well done, roving by Wright. Gee, hit a brick wall, and that was Ty Allen. And surely a free kick to Wright for holding on too long. Over the top, Miller, here's Clark. He'll use Uni. No, he won't. He'll go all the way, David Clark. Wonderful goal. And they hang in there. It's 6 points the difference.
Well, he's done a reasonable job on Brett Backwell today. Backwell's had a few possessions, but hasn't really been damaging Clark on this occasion does push forward, playing a little bit of roulette. I noticed Backwell was in the centre of the ground when Clark picked up the ball. David Clark from the half-back line, now playing up the ground on the wing on Backwell. Finishes with his first goal for the game.
Ackland. Uni, they need a clearance, North Adelaide. They just can't get a clean one. And again, it's that man Cranston involved with the tackle that holds it in there for the Bays. Ackland, a tap down to Allen. Was he held on to? Backwell sweeps it forward for Fisher. Wanted to go outside again to Hall because he's got his trusty left foot and he thumps it long goal. Oh, no wonder they wanted to trust Chris Hall.
He's got immense skill level as Chris Hall. The question mark is his work rate, but you can see if he can get the ball like he did on this occasion, anywhere inside or just outside of 50. He only needs a little bit of space to use that beautiful left foot kick that he has to kick a much needed goal for Glenelg, and it started with Backwell in the centre of the ground.
And an awareness by Fisher, knowing Hall's a left footer, to deliver by hand was exceptional team play by Glenelg. And here's Fisher again, and he can't get the footy.
And it also must be said, Fisher knowing his own ability, because he's not the best kick in the world. He is an accumulator of the ball, and he does dispense of the ball very well by hand, but he's not the best kick in the world.
And Hall covered the distance with ease. David Clark taking the ground, and Leibelt wants to go on with it, but he's an angry ant, David Clark, so he'll like a bit of that stuff. Bring that on, he'll pretty happy. 78, plays 66. It's a 12-point margin. For North to win, they've got to kick 3. Fisher got the tap down. Pfeiffer held on for a while. Uni squeezed it out. David Clark away to Armstrong. Armstrong's got Thompson in space and a couple of boys running into it. Teely is one of them. Will he deliver to him? He's run into the pocket, the youngster, and he takes the mark. Spotted him up well. And young Teely, who was terrific, 24 disposals last week, and the Star Search winner. And has been a bit quiet today. And Mogridge, young Teely, he's probably had half a dozen possessions. 4. Coming up for number 5. Very close to half a dozen. But he's pretty confident of his own ability here.
There's no doubt that he is confident. There's very little breeze, if any, to speak of.
Well, the snouts lamps are getting him what for, don't you worry about that. He'll learn a few new words as he runs in. 3 men on the mark. Wonderful kick by Teely. That's a gem. Oh, you've got to love that.
Well, fantastic, young fella, because you showed enough confidence to actually just go back and do what was needed. North Adelaide keep the ball in the corridor here, which is good to see. They had a leading player leading to the leg of Motlop, who was Teely, found some space, and without any hesitation, he went back, he marked the ground, had the crowd roaring at him, but no hesitation, calm and collected, and finishes with a nice goal.
6 points to margin, and I'll bring out the stat that across the history of Glenelg at the Bay, they've never had a draw with North Adelaide. Mules. Uni, was he taken in the back? Umpire Colin Ralston says no. So he'll pick himself out of the turf.
Watch the tackling here from the Glenelg players.
Allen somehow back to Uni, was quick hands to right. They got Armstrong running, and now Clark. And Clark goes over the top to Ryswick. Wait on the umpire. Play on advantage. It's touched on the line by Gill. Umpire's bringing it back. Causing some controversy there. Other end of the ground, if you remember. I think it was Fisher squirting through the minor score after there'd been a free kick when Hinge was taken down. Play on advantage minor score this time, not to be.
Well, it certainly showed by Gill, Nick Gill, a lack of game sense, or the lack of footy that he has played over the last 6 weeks, because that was going through for a goal. There's really no need to put your hand up and try to mark the ball.
Ryswick with 1-1 for the quarter. Thumps it to the line. Gill's there again. This time, though, there'd be no problem if he decided to mark it. It's into the post and out of bounds, therefore. Lee Ryswick. Ackland over the top. I think it'll go out again. No, it was rushed, in fact, just the other side of the post by Pinozzo, who will then take the kick in.
Tell you, Daniel Kirk has been fantastic today on Nick Gill. I've certainly been impressed with his game. His defensive ability to be able to go with Gill either on the lead, in the air or on the ground has been tremendous.
10 possessions, 2 kicks, 8 handballs, Daniel Kirk. Short Lee belt finds Mules. So 5 points, the difference in favour of Glenelg. 1 straight kick, and North are back in front. And at half back is Byron Murphy. Just bouncing around on the mark is Daniel Stewart. Oh, horrible kick. Horrible kick. Alloway can't take the mark. Oh, goodness me. Hearts in mouth stuff. Taken by Middles. Byron Murphy. Goodness me. Goes back to Meyer, who gives it back to Murphy. Now, nail this one, Byron. He does. Fine Seller. Lace out. Got a nice bit of punch on that, did Byron. Oh, horrible kick by Seller. Here's Miller. Miller, no one to kick to. Handball over the top. Nick Gill tried to hammer it to Motlop. Should have taken it. And the Bays get out of jail again. And sometimes it can backfire on you because the Bays are running it out of the fence and they're running hard. They go to the wing. Grimer has it knocked away. Taken brilliantly by Clark. Clark kicks lace out and finds Ryswick. Motlop's in the square. Ackland's calling for it. To the top. He goes to the pocket, looking for Alloway. And Alloway will get a free kick for push. Or will he? He'll have it played against him. And it'll go to Mills.
It's like watching Keystone Cops at the moment.
Both sides trying their best to turn the ball over and succeeding, it must be said. Mules to the corridor and it's been left open. Seller had a chance to go on, decided against it. Nothing much in the corridor now for him. He'll be forced to go wide. That's where Kirkby's come. And Kirkby will be the target in this. Stewart will come from the side and take it easy. Now he's got players in the corridor. Uni got around 2. Hand pass was loose. Chris came down to half forward, looking for Cranston. Great tackle. Cranston taken to ground, and that was dangerous from White. And he's now given away the free kick.
Well, whoever makes the least amount of mistakes will win this game.
Kick and a half forward. Grimer couldn't take it. Hingered it. Somehow the hand pass came to Ruwalt on the snap, minor score. So it sneaks away again to a 1-goal game. And the Bays, well, there's some anxious looks among the crowd.
Some anxious looks amongst the crowd and some tired-looking players.
Toby Stribling, 6 points the difference in favour of last year's grand finalists, Glenelg. Called to play on, taps it on his boot, away he goes. Uses Cunningham. Cunningham got the staggers. Back to Stribling and tried to find Armstrong and then quickly pointed it out to the umpire. No, you're not watching the new ABC One reality TV show, How to Lose a Football Match in One Afternoon. We're watching an SANFL game in round 7. Up goes Cranston. Knocks it down. Hall. Taken by Fisher. Fisher hoists it high. Who can take a mark? Grimer's in the middle of that. A lot of players around the footy. Good leap by Ruwalt. Taken to ground. Solid tackle by Miller. Umpire says, give it to me. Ball it up. Whew. There's Kerry. Kerry Kane. Just to the left there. And, oh, she's pretty tensed up, Kerry, I've got to say. Murphy rides the tackle. Over the top comes Wright. And another ball up. We've ticked into 20 minutes in the final term.
Damon White's been sent forward by Daniel Healy for North Adelaide. I mentioned he kicked 4 goals in the last quarter of last week's game. So now he's been sent up forward to that match-up with Kirk. I've got to get it to him. Right now he's at full forward on centre wing, if you understand what I mean. The ball, meanwhile, is trapped in and under players inside the Glenelg forward line.
North Adelaide have really struggled all day to take the ball outside their defensive area, particularly from kick-ins, and that's what this is a result of, their kick-in. They just stuffed up their kick-in. Glenelg's zone has been good.
They move it another 20 metres, just outside the forward 50 arc. Rory Kirkby there. Ackland taps it down, Motlop through traffic.
Hand pass came out to Stribling. Dangerous one back to Uni. Uni got it forward pretty well. Armstrong had some support from Motlop, had some good support from Clark. Went forward to Ryswick. Now it's a race, and they want to catch Lee Ryswick. Ryswick takes away, chased by Mills, straightens up, hooks it around, kicks the line to score. Oh, a chance to level it up, and he missed it.
Well, the Glenelg fans were screaming for running too far. You can see he certainly used his entire 15 metres. That was a close kick for goal. You can see his disappointment there.
Third game we've had on grandstand football where it could go right to the wire. 5 points the difference in favour of the Bays. 21 and a half minutes gone. Mills, the skipper, needs to be precise. Oh, Liebelt can't take the mark. Numbers, Teely, got it back to Allen. Allen, short kick, wonderfully read by Holmes. The kick just wasn't good enough from the Gary medalist. And Holmes got in the gap. Mills and Teely, not quite. Oh, I don't think you want to run the clock down at this stage. I think you want to win the game and put it away. Mills, thought about a kick to Mills and then hoisted the ball up and said, I'm going to kick it down the line. He does. Oh, Gill gave his opponent a nudge, but Stewart took the mark on the wrong side for the umpire. Stewart got it away to Miller. Miller called to play on. Oh, player in an acre of space on the outer side is McIntyre, who gives it to Armstrong. And Armstrong hoists it long, looking for Motlop. As he run out of room, he has. Out of bounds on the full. Disappointing end to that bit of play by North Adelaide. And the relieving free kick will go to Panozzo, who finds his skipper in Mules. Time ticking away. 22 and a half gone.
Gee, Rob, it's been a lesson 101 in how to burn the ball in the last quarter by both sides.
Skill level hasn't been high today. Obviously, as the game has ticked on and the pressure has increased, that skill level has dropped.
Fisher waits, he can go back to Panozzo, that's what he does. Panozzo can come this side of the ground to Liebelt. Or between two, he just takes the mark. Liebelt now can go to Mills, but he decides instead to go back to Panozzo. Time ticks on, 23 and a half minutes. That's a good kick. And Meyer,
that's it,
content with the ball outside defensive 50 for the Bays to hold it up again.
Move it on now.
Roosters picking up their men, so he's now forced to play on and just go long to centre wing. Big pack developing. Over the back it slips. Davis got the hand pass away nicely. Now it comes to the left-footed Stewart. He just puts it up high as he was buffeted as he kicked the ball. Armstrong came in late, knocked it away from Kirk. Will get another ball up. And Panozzo coming off the ground. Looks like some sort of leg injury.
Cramp, I reckon.
While all this is taking place. Ben Kane comes back on the ground. What it means is the Bays briefly without an extra defender. Backwell, he's caught, he surrenders the ball. Now they're in a bit of trouble. Ball inside 50, White. Oh, couldn't get the hand on it. Kirk and White, now there's a good battle. Ball held in, Kirk did well, got it away to Mills, stuck the tackle. Somehow they get out of there again, the Bays. Meyer looks for Kane. Now here's another foot race. Crucial ball in the centre of the ground, and it's won again by the Roosters. Well done by Cunningham. And then they bring it wide through Armstrong. Ryswick on a great mark.
Ryswick on the wing, time ticking away. Almost 25 minutes gone. 6 goals kicked in the quarter. Ryswick. Oh, did that go 15? Motlop, does he realise how much time's to go? We don't have the countdown clock here on the ABC. Just give it to you real. Up goes Stewart. Can he take the mark? No, ball out of play. Clock. The official clock will stop.
Now, Marlon Motlop, he'll understand as a young man, the more experience he has. He got the ball on the wing. There might only be seconds left in the game. You're 5 points down. Kick the ball long to the top of the square or inside your 50. Don't go wide.
Important clearance. Right. In goes Thompson. And another ball up. 5 points the difference. Oh, a lot of anxious faces there. Bay fans, they hold on by 5. No one wants it. Wright tries to crash through. Hall, handball, loose. Allen, how did he get rid of that? Hard ball to be won. In they go. Another ball up. Well, they're getting a bit restless in their seats. This is what it's all about. SANFL football. Tight, tough. Stewart down. Thompson. Right. High kick. Could this be the last play? Up they go. Free kick. Oh, that's the Siren! Siren! 26 minutes had gone, and the Bays fall in by 5 points. So much noise, I didn't hear the siren. The ball went high, and Damon White not happy from North Adelaide. But a fighting win, and sometimes you've got to win ugly, Robert Bowman. And the Bays have won ugly this afternoon. Tight game. There's Byron Murphy. He was important with a couple of early goals. And the final score, Glenelg 11-13-79 have defeated North Adelaide 11-8-74.
Well, you can see Damon White, how disappointed he was. He took a mark 30 metres out straight in front, but at seconds after the siren went, and Glenelg, well, they certainly did win ugly, as Michael Marnie said, 11-13, 13 points. They did dominate for large passages of the game. North Adelaide, I thought, were pretty lucky to actually have only just lost, and you can see Glenelg players there, they're not overly happy in terms of their victory, but what they are is they certainly are tired.
Mark Soderstrom has the skipper of Glenelg, Benny Mules, with him.
Benny, you were right amongst it down there at the end there. How are your nerves?
Oh, mate, just hanging in there, mate. It was a pressure cooker at the end there, but it's just good that the siren went when it did, mate. We're just hanging on there.
There was plenty of heat on down there. Both sides coughed the ball up a lot at both ends of the ground, just in that lap bit. Was that just a lot of pressure?
Look, it's probably one thing that's been letting us down this year. I think, we talk about our effort and our pressure and all that. And, even today, I thought, we were really good in those areas, but we're just letting ourselves down with our disposals. And North really come to play, and they did put the pressure on, but we just got to get better at that. But we'll take the win, mate.
Well, of course you would. Now, you talked about letting down with disposal. I suppose some of the opportunities in front of goal too come into that area.
Yeah, definitely. I think every game this season we've kicked a lot more points than goals, and really early in the first quarter, I think really letting us down. I think it's really that's sort of we struggle to put sides away if we do that. So goal kicking practice this week, mate.
What probably is a good sign though, Benny, is without really turning it on so far, you managed to keep winning games. Yeah,
that's probably the good thing. We a few injuries sort of coming back now, and we're just sort of scraping through and winning games. Like we're 5-2 and still not really hitting our straps yet. So we just look forward to when it all clicks, mate.
Well done, mate. You got home in the end. Take a deep breath, go and enjoy it.
Ridiculous. Cheers.
Benny Mules with Mark Soderstrom. In his first 5 seasons here at the Bay, Ben Mules had 5 senior coaches. It's a lot more stable now.
Well, it's just a ridiculous situation, but since he's been captain, he's been a fantastic player for this club. It's a great choice, I believe, as a captain. He just does all of the hard things. He does the simple things very well, puts his body on the line every time I've ever seen him play. He was good today. He started on Uni, and Uni looked dangerous early. I thought that he might have his hands full, but the longer the game went, I thought that Ben Mules and Daniel Kirk in particular, those two down back, certainly played their roles. The players, Glenelg players, they don't look overly ecstatic. I think they look exhausted.
Yeah, Benny Mules in his 4th year as captain, he'd be very happy to have got his side all the way to a grand final last year, albeit, of course, they didn't manage to overcome the mighty Central District. As we see, there's a few more smiles, but yeah, smiles hard to find because I guess the way that they played this afternoon, they lived up to the stats which said through 6 rounds they were the most inaccurate side in the SANFL.
Well, they proved that theory correct again today, didn't they? They had a lot of the ball. They had amassed huge amounts of possessions, but unfortunately, in particular, their foot skills were really disappointing when they went forward. And I think from their point of view, they felt they should have won by a lot more. And I suppose they're more than happy that they snuck home with a win, but they're probably disappointed that they didn't win by a lot more and build their percentage.
Well, throughout the afternoon, the highest margin between the two sides was just 13 points, so it was pretty tight all afternoon. Of course, low scoring. I mean, 79 plays 74, 11 goals apiece. And in fact, they only got home Glenelg because of the 5 extra points they kicked. That's one way. That's a positive way to look at it.
Well, they certainly did kick a lot of points. I mentioned early in the game, I think they're going to win by kicking more points than the opposition, and they did that. So you see there, Sellers, he'd be pretty happy. He featured early in the game. He kicked a couple of very instrumental goals. Grimer there finished the game off well, taking a nice mark, and Chris Hall obviously at crunch time kicked a nice goal to finish the game off well.
We should say Kerry Kane will be happy because her Suns have played in a win this afternoon. The Bay's home by just 5 points. They just snuck in like John Simons did there. And we will hear in a moment just how happy they are. It's a mid-range, middle of the range celebration, I would have thought there.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they're overly happy. Well, they're happy. Yeah. They're happy they won, yeah. Let's say that. But I think they thought they could have won by a lot more because they did dominate the game for large passages of that game.
Well, as Benny Mills identified, I mean, they've won ugly. Not once, but several times this season. They just scraped across the line. On the other hand, you look at it and you say, well, they got absolutely smashed by Central District. It was so bad, maybe you just cast that aside. Yep. They've still won 5, lost only 2.
Well, they're still going to be at the top end of the ladder, and if they can pick up their skill level, their endeavour is good, their discipline is good. They've got a lot of players in there that just are grunt players. They do a lot of the hard work. Got the odd player here and there like a Backwell that's cream on top of the cake, but really they're just a very consistent team, and that's why they played in the grand final last year.
Michael Liebold down back. They've got John Hinge up forward. They've got midfielders that just play their roles, don't they? Wade Mills, they've recruited him to be that stand-up defender, and gee, there were times this afternoon when it looked like it had all broken down, and then the momentum swings were just amazing.
Certainly were. There was passages of play in this game where it was just very stagnant. There was ball up after ball up, and both teams seemed to be playing with fast break type of footy by moving the ball quickly from a stoppage. But it was interesting, you know, North Adelaide, they didn't have a lot of the ball, but they had 4 or 5 passages of play where they did score couple of consecutive goals, which really did put themselves back into the game. When they got the ball into the corridor, they looked much more dangerous. Unfortunately, they didn't do it too often. As a result, they didn't score enough goals.
That goal by Gill at the 8-minute mark of the second term put North Adelaide in front by 10 points. Problem was they didn't score between then and half-time. They were down by 7 at the break.
Yeah, they were. They certainly need to find another avenue to goal and give their forwards more opportunities. They brought the ball into the corridor, as we saw on that occasion, and David Clark made something out of nothing, gave the ball to Stewart. I was impressed with Stewart's game. He just didn't get enough opportunities.
Well, do you look at that and you say, OK, look, this is game plan, or do you say that Daniel Healy will take longer for his team to learn the game plan, or do you say, look, this is just too complicated for the level of fitness we have at SANFL?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I suppose the jury is still out. It's probably a little bit too early in the season to actually make a call on that. You'd like to see by the end of the season where they are at, and if they're adhering to his style of play and his game plan a bit better than they did today. I'd still like to see him go through the corridor and move the ball quickly. A feature of Central District's game plan is they do go wide from defence, but they bring the ball into the corridor. They do play on. We didn't see a lot of that from North Adelaide today.
And again, the Bays, and we're just getting, of course, in these highlights, you're not getting the lowlights, you're only getting the highlights, and you can see that on occasion when they did move the ball well, they were very effective. Now we're into the highlights of when the momentum swung and it was taken away a little bit by North Adelaide. And we see here Ryswick with fabulous shot over the shoulder, and at this point we were thinking a couple of goals quickly, you never know what might happen. That was levelling the scores in the last quarter, but wasn't to be, and Grimer up forward, finally finding some space. Interesting too, the clearances from the middle by Cranston, as it turns out, I think it was the first 3 clearances of the last quarter.
Yeah, look, he's a fantastic ruckman. He not only gets the hit-outs on occasions, but he is also very good at ground level and almost acts as another on-baller. You can see Clark didn't have too many opportunities to push forward. He was very close checking on Backwell when he did get forward. He got on the end of the play, just like Chris Hall on that occasion, getting on the end of the play, both using their skills by foot.
We can see, look, another one for you in relation to North Adelaide. They're number 1 for free kicks, and they're number 2 for conceding free kicks.
Yep.
So there's that last play with Damon White, the captain, who didn't show much discipline as it turned out right at the end. So we'll just take a line through the scores and just have a look at just how the thing fluctuated during the day. It was 3 points to the Roosters at quarter time. By half-time, it was 7 points to the Tigers, and they maintained that lead at three-quarter time by 6 points in a thrilling last quarter. They got home by maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah, they did. They just got home, and it really is interesting because when you have a look at the statistics, you have a look at their inside 50s. Glenelg almost got to the 50. North Adelaide, they did pick up in that last quarter to pick their inside 50s up to 32. Unfortunately, not enough inside 50s to kick a winning score. You can see the massive amount of kicks and handballs with Glenelg compared to North Adelaide. They did dominate for large passages of play.
Tigers found a way to win, and so does they've found their way home. They've all deserted you.
Well, they have. It was very, very tight, wasn't it? And I think Mark Micken probably a little bit disappointed in terms of the fact that Glenelg did dominate not dominate the actual match, but dominate enough, in fact, to, I think, be very, very disappointed if they had have gone down after they sang the song. Look, it was sung, I think, as you guys saw, with a reasonable amount of gusto, so I think it was more out of relief. But after they sang the song, Mark Micken has taken the boys into the room behind me. They've spent a good 5 minutes in there so far. It's quiet, so there's no yelling or anything like that. So I think as soon as they get out, we'll have a chat with Mark Micken. But I think more relief than any great disappointment amongst the players, but be interested to see how Mark feels about that.
Not really Mark's style, I guess, to yell and scream, is it?
I have seen him do that once or twice, but no, he's reasonably calm when he talks to the players.
OK, let's talk about the goal of the day, and the judges have awarded it to Marlon Modlop for this streak down the outer wing, and the fact that he was prepared to take on Michael Liebelt, and he wouldn't know much about him, but he knew he was quicker.
Well, that's just a great awareness, isn't it? He knows that he's got someone hot on his tail, but he's got the confidence to back himself and kick the goal.
It was his only goal of the afternoon, the best as judged by us. 26 possessions for Marlon Modlop. As we see there on the right of screen, he features among the goal kickers. Thought Stewart was pretty good this afternoon. Lee Ryswick up forward with the multiple goals there for the Roosters. Just wasn't enough. Murphy, Kirkby, Seller, the multiple goals for the Tigers. And as you can see by that, there wasn't any absolute dominant forward for either side.
No, there wasn't. Lee Ryswick had a couple of opportunities late in the game. Healy persisted with him across the half-forward line. He's more known as an on-baller or a winger, but he didn't take his opportunities and unfortunately kicked 2 points in that last quarter. Could have won the game.
Now, speaking of taking opportunities, Byron Murphy took the mark of the day. That's one of those where you're thinking as you're going towards that pack, geez, it's set up, I've got to take this.
It's almost like a stairway to heaven there, isn't it? He thought, this is beautiful in front of the crowd. He had a very good game. He finished with 11 kicks, 11 handballs, 2 goals and 5 marks.
Just showed on occasion how skillful he was, but he wasn't immune to the disease that was going around out there where they did burn the ball. And as I mentioned at one stage, it was a class in Burn the Ball 101.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we had a time to show the amount of footage that we saw today, unfortunately we're going to run out of time, but geez, they burnt the ball.
There'd be more highlights than the highlights we showed, I think, if we wanted to show Burn the Ball, but yeah, unbelievable. Player to watch, of course, we mentioned about Byron Murphy, and what sort of afternoon did he have? Well, he was certainly good in the opening quarter in front of goal. He kicked the first goal of the first quarter, and he kicked the last goal of the first quarter for his side, and at that stage, just able to show, as we see on both sides of the body, just how skillful he is, making the right decisions, but that mark was pretty special.
He's a flexible player too, because he can play back, he can play forward and in the midfield like we saw today. He played all over the ground.
And Chris Hall, he's come back to SANFL footy, chose to go to Glenelg rather than South Adelaide. A bit of bickering between the sides about that, but played in 3 premierships for Subiaco, including best on ground in last season's WAFL Grand Final, and he's a little bit of a class act that might top them off.
Certainly is. He's like Backwell in terms of when he gets the ball, he uses the ball very well. He finished with 20 possessions and 1 goal. He's not a huge work rate in terms of a play. He's not one of those grunt players like Glenelg have, but he is icing on the cake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Long goal from just on 50 from 2 steps was pretty good. Marlon Motlop, we've already talked about getting our goal of the day, but just generally, he just worked pretty hard, didn't he? And I guess that's the thing that Port Adelaide, where he's on the Port Adelaide AFL list, that's what they're looking for. Just a bit more work from guys like Motlop and Wade Thompson.
I can remember travelling to Darwin and looking at Marlon Motlop about 4 years ago, and even as a very young player, he was very good at senior level back there. He's finished with 17 kicks, 9 handballs, 1 goal and 3 marks, and that's a day out. Unfortunately, they didn't come home with the bacon, but from Port Power's perspective, they'd be pretty happy with what he delivered today.
Well, it's been a bit of a wait, but it's been worth it, I'm sure. Mark Micken is with sodas down in the rooms.
Well, Mark, a good sign. You walked out of the room with a smile on your face. Is it a bit of relief?
Oh, yeah, very much relief. I thought it was a tough game. I thought at half-time we had by far the majority of the game, but didn't have it on the scoreboard, 15 shots to 8, I think it was, and it was just about even. So, we knew that we just had to maintain the effort and hope that our skill level improved and that our finishing improved, and probably didn't actually, but the persistence of the players, and the resilience was terrific, and in the end I thought they deserved to win.
The resilience was good, just both sides very late in the game, very deep in the game. They did cough the ball up and probably make a couple of really crucial errors under pressure.
No, I don't know about that, and we were certainly guilty of that. I felt that both teams probably worked pretty hard, and I think there were some tired efforts, and it was probably testimony to the type of game it was that happened.
Mark, Neil Cross upstairs, this season statistically says that you're scoring about 2 goals less on average than you have in last season, and you're giving away 20 more points to the opposition. What's the difference? Is it just skills and burning the ball like you did in the last quarter?
Yeah, well, with the scoring, I think our goal kick, we've kicked more points than goals in every game this year except for the Port Adelaide game. So our accuracy has been really poor. And as a result of that, I tend to think that might contribute to the opposition scores as well, because sometimes they can get a quick kick in, or it might. I don't think this team gets deflated very easily, but that can happen. And it didn't help because we had a massive loss to Central District as well. So that sort of shows, that distorts the averages a little bit as well. So probably a number of reasons for that.
Mark, it's Robert Pyman here. You spoke about your foot skills and you were disappointed with them. If we focus on a couple of the positives, I thought 2 players in particular down back who played really well. Daniel Kirk did a fantastic job, and also your captain, Ben Mules.
Yeah, no, Kirky came into the side to do a specific role on Nick Gill, and we know it was his first game back for a while, but I thought, Daniel's got the capacity physically to do that. He's big, he's quick, he's got a big motor, and he's strong, and that's the sort of qualities that you need against someone like Nick Gill, and he was excellent. I give him full credit, and Ben's he's a skipper, and he steadies the ship for us, and he's strong. His ability to tackle under pressure is really important for us, and he really does marshal the troops back there.
Mark, just on that decision, bringing Daniel Kirk into the side, you had to make a cut. Matty Dalton, the leading goal kicker for your club up to this stage of the season, did make the cut, but it balanced out right, but it was a tough one.
Yeah, it is. I never like using that as an excuse for leaving a player out, team balance, but that's exactly what it was, and that was all it was. And to his credit, he came out today and played really well in the reserves, Matty Dalton, and he's a good character, and it worked well for us, in the end.
Good on you, Mark. Relax. Friday night, Norwood. State game, then a bye, so you've got a fair bit of time off coming up.
Yeah, we've got sort of 2 byes in a row, so we've just got to manage that. We've organised our program, but most importantly, we've got to tackle Norwood in 6 days, and they're a team that, to us, look like they've improved a lot.
Thanks, Mark. Good on you. Well done with the win, and happy Mother's Day, of course, too.
To all the mothers, happy Mother's Day.
Don't forget to get that one in there. Okay, quickly through the results from other games this afternoon. Look at those, somewhat predictable. Central's eventually running over Westies by 62. Port by 59, their first win of the season over the Panthers, and Sturt by 67 over the Eagles. Norwood with a bye this week, and of course the state game the following week. So they've got 2 weeks off as well. And Norwood plays Glenelg on Friday night at the Norwood Oval. Sturt playing the Panthers as our match of the day on ABC1. Westies against the Eagles, and Central against Port Adelaide. North, of course, is who I'm talking about. North Adelaide has 2 weeks off now, with, of course, the state game in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks, Rob, for your company this afternoon. Really interesting contest, and it was won by the Bays, but only just. Very close. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next week.